one and all to the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast for our Wrestling Year in Review. I am your King of Extreme, Phil KOE, the now titled Lord Phil, here with my indomitable broadcast partner, the one, the only,
the former champion, the soon-to-be-again champion, Tony Two Belts, Tony fucking G, the blend master himself. What a year it has been, and this is our third year in review, and I'll be honest, it's been a pretty big roller coaster of a year, but probably the biggest and most painful part of this is the fact that the RWP title is not appearing on the year in review because Phil was unavailable for TLC, and for some unknown reason, Chicken called a perfect show and escaped to Iowa with the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast Championship. But we trudge forward, and we're going to talk about.
Don't worry, your titled Lord is launching a full special counsel investigation. Clearly, this was collusion. Chicken, our eyes are on you, sir. There will be a full special counsel.
Wow.
Doing the show without your
man. You are more than welcome to jump on and say a few words.
You rapscallion ne'er-do-well. And while we let some folks gather, Tony, while we let some more folks come in, we're going to be getting into the year in review here real shortly. But Tony, your Lord Phil is displeased with your actions, sir. You make a knave of your Lord, sir.
You would have lost the same.
You lost the championship.
You also would have
Chicken.
lost.
Your King of Extreme, Lord Phil, would have called a better than perfect game, Tony.
No.
So that is why, while people gather, it's time to debut something, Tony. Because of your inequity, we cannot have a year in review without a champion present. And so that is why, folks, worry not. Your King of Extreme, Lord Phil, has debuted the KOE Championship. Yes, there is at least one true champion here tonight, a champion of Extreme. Yes, folks, there's the Hope Diamond, there's the Gold of Fort Knox, and then there is the KOE Championship.
The look of disgust from our actual in-house
studio
audience was, I could drink it with a straw.
No, you would need an actual spoon. It's like a Frosty from Wendy's. It's not even like a regular shake. But yes.
Okay.
So at least there is one champion here this evening. So my title grows. I am your King of Extreme, the Lord of the Scottish Highlands, the conqueror of the ethereal, and the champion of all that is extreme, folks. You were here to see
Our champion says, fellas, a fire has been rekindled in for me in wrestling. In the memory of my boy Rosie, I will retain and eventually take the KOE title. All right.
Oh, a challenger. Now, this one, we will see. We will see. There's many ways you can challenge for this amazing title, but we will get to that later.
The focus of the show tonight, folks, is we have got
a year to
12 damn categories tonight, and we're gonna get through them as quickly as possible, but we're not gonna skimp over the hard-hitting details like only Phil and I can give you, because let's face it, Cultaholic, What Culture, Wrestle Talk, WrestleMania, they're okay. But really, you want real talk, you come here to the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast.
Right here, folks. So the categories are the Men's Wrestler of the Year, the Women's Wrestler of the Year, the Event of the Year, the Tag Team of the Year, the Most Wasted Talent, the Biggest Botch of the Year, the Worst Wrestler of the Year, Tony's personal favorite, the Wrestle Shit category. Then we've got a secret category that we'll get into. Hey, you gotta have mystery. Yeah, the cinematic match of the year, and our studio audience just looks puzzled every time I say that. Like cinematic and what? Then for the big main event, the women's match of the year, the tag team match of the year, and the men's match of the year. So, folks, we're going to get into it, but without further ado, let's get into our nominees.
Well, first off, what are you drinking tonight?
Oh, well, if we're going there, this evening we've got a little bit of a selection here, but I'm having Maker's Mark Private Select.
All right.
One of the better bourbons. And also, folks, tomorrow, the KOE Nation Year in Review drops. Definitely check it out over at KOE Nation on YouTube, where you will see what is the rum of extreme, the cognac of extreme, the whiskey of extreme, all the spirits of extreme, and an overall year in review in the year that was extreme.
I was there for it. It was amazing. Don't miss it.
Yes.
KOE Nation on YouTube.
But, so I'm having Makers. What are you having, sir?
I am first off dipping into this Glenlivet Caribbean Reserve. Not a bad bargain scotch by any means.
I might give that a shot here in a little bit. So, but that's what we are sipping on this evening.
So before we lose complete track of what we are here to do, we're going to start off with the Men's Wrestler of the Year. Bear with me. I am your production crew, so the background's going to change, and that's all on me. I'm popping up your comments.
Tony's nominees.
Be patient.
Tony's nominees.
Oh, no. You don't got to say who's who, because we come to a pretty good agreement on most of these.
Except
and if we
two.
need to make a footnote, we can say so.
All right. So
I got them pulled up
the
here.
nominees are...
First off, Cody Rhodes.
Yes.
And don't just call him Cody now.
Yes, he actually owns the right to the name his dad started. Not bad. So that's a pretty good year for you. Also, Drew McIntyre. You kind of got to give him his due. Also, John Moxley, he's had a pretty banner year.
He also won PW Insiders Male Wrestler of the Year. So
yeah, and now where Tony and I diverged, Tony nominated.
It's Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns,
amazing year.
He's had an amazing 3 months. Yes, you're right. So yes, the last 3 months where he actually cemented his heel turn has been good.
And
I nominated The Undertaker as Wrestler of the Year.
It's 2020.
The Undertaker.
No, it's not 1998. It's 2020.
No wrestler this year held our attention, captivated us, and brought us in as much as The Undertaker in this year, 2020. So that's why I have nominated the Dead Man. And this may very well be his last year. We may see. I certainly hope he does the Terry Funk, but I don't think so.
Let's talk. Okay, fine. Let's talk about The Undertaker first. I understand it's only fitting that he gets a mention here because he did retire at Survivor Series. He did technically wrestle this year. He had the Boneyard match. He had he did win the Gauntlet Trophy in Saudi Arabia. He even in 2020, Mark Calloway's 3 decades in the ring can't be ignored because he really, other than Brock Lesnar and maybe John Cena, really nobody else was as banner of a name in the ring this year or out of it as The Undertaker. Completely fair nomination. I can't disagree with you too much, other than the fact that he had a total maybe 3 matches. Next up, let's double back. Cody Rhodes.
He's had a banner year.
He got his name back. He got his fucking last name back. That alone is pretty
worthy of
spectacular.
mention.
Yeah.
And
he had to give up Bash at the Beach.
He did have one of the best bumps of the year, anyways, where he jumped off that cage with a moonsault. And you're right. That was a marvelous match that had a moonsault off of a cage.
Yeah, that was about it, though. I'm sorry.
And there was a powerbomb that's kind of cool.
He had his year, and he's expecting a child now, so congratulations, Cody, on that regard. But as a whole, he really tried to distance himself from the world title. We knew that coming out of 2019, he kind of established himself not as a mid-carder, but as a main eventer in the mid-card, as the workhorse. But he's over the top. He's always going to be that over-the-top guy. He's always going to be that banner guy that AEW has. And you got to have your superstars. You got to have banner guys that are in-ring psychologies in the company, hell, in the business. But that's expected. And you can't really ignore a lot of the big matches he's had. Personally, I think they get a little busy. I think they get a little convoluted with the story they're trying to tell. But they're still damn great wrestling matches. And in 2020, a wrestling match is kind of hard to come by.
You know, you do make an excellent point. For my ratings, he was always consistently 4-star or above in his pay-per-view matches.
Yeah.
He always delivered when the time came.
That's fair.
And so him being in this contention very much is fitting.
Yeah.
So
should we move over to another AEW guy?
I think it's time.
Jon Moxley. PWI Male Wrestler of the Year. He was the champ since February. Just dropped it here last month at Full Gear.
In a great match.
Or not Full Gear. Winter is Coming to Kenny Omega. That one disappointed me a little bit.
It was a good match. It wasn't like it didn't. Yeah, you're right.
I feel
it wasn't even the best match the two of them have had.
No, exactly. I think that's what disappointed me the most because I didn't really have a lot of standout. Me personally, AEW men's single match that really spoke to me other than like Cody MJF was a great storytelling match, but a lot of them just kind of disappointed me, didn't really hit it home for me in that regard. And that's what I hoped that match would be. So Moxley's end of 2020 was a little disappointing for me, but overall, the year as a whole, he really did kind of deliver, and he was, other than Jericho and Cody, that big superstar name that AEW had to hang its hat on, and he did a pretty good job of it, all things considered.
Now we move on to the Scotsman himself, Drew McIntyre.
This one's special for us. We got to see
the christening of the McIntyre era.
I remember I remember so vividly when they were toying with the idea of turning Drew McIntyre face. He'd been this psychopath, dickbag, asshole heel since he came back to WWE. And one night they just decided, fuck it, we're going to test the waters here. And they sent him out there with a microphone, and he beat up, I think it was the B team, just for no good reason. With a microphone, he beat them both up, and he was cracking jokes, and the crowd instantly started loving it. Like, they didn't even question it. They're like, okay, this guy's been an asshole since he got back. He's funny, though. Now we're on his side. And as soon as they saw the crowd going with it, they're like, yep, that's all we needed. And they basically pushed him to the moon since. And it culminated at Royal Rumble in Houston.
Yeah, we were there to see it. And we actually don't have this as a category, but let's be frank. If we were going to do Pop of the Year, it was close. Drew McIntyre.
It's close between McIntyre kicking Lesnar over the top rope and Edge's return. It's close.
It is.
It's
and we'll get into that later, folks. But yes, so Drew McIntyre got one of the pops of the year. 50,000 people. Just the whole place was rumbling. It was an amazing thing to see.
He took that. He wrote it into WrestleMania. He beat Brock Lesnar for his first world title. He basically fought a new challenger every month or so.
I was a little worried with
he had a banner year
with Randy Orton, good old Randall Keith. He took his title for a month, but he got it back and didn't really lose a lot of momentum.
No, and I think really that was just kind of a tip of the hat to Randy for being a really great opponent for Drew McIntyre. Like, he needed one of those banner names. Randy was that banner name, and I haven't seen Randy try as hard as he did in this feud in a long time, and he really was a great opponent. And he came out looking really strong himself. Plus, he got another world championship, but he did end up giving it back to Drew. Drew's now a two-time champion this year alone, and really, other than the Randy loss and the Roman Reigns loss of Survivor Series, I can't think of another loss he's had other than like a count-out or a disqualification. Drew's done nothing but.
Yeah, he's been kept rather strong. But now we
another guy who's been kept strong.
Speaking of which,
Roman fucking Reigns. To be fair,
we did see him live.
We did,
and I even did get the RWP Championship into a shot at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
During a Roman Reigns match. So thanks to Roman Reigns, The Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast is now forever and indelibly a part of professional wrestling history. So
he did have one of the better Anywhere Falls match. It went a long time at the Rumble. It went a really long time, but it was a good opener, and it made sense because they were both going to end up being in the Rumble match anyway. But Roman Reigns had, since he came back from his vacation, if you can call it that, from his obviously unfortunate leukemia issues last year, the crowd has been a little bit more sympathetic to him. They're like, okay, this is a guy. Maybe they shoved him down our throats, but we do appreciate the work he's put in. So him being a face, the crowd has been mostly behind him since his return. But then right before WrestleMania, he kind of disappeared. Coronavirus kicked in, and he got obviously pretty terrified for himself and his family because we didn't know anything at the time. And with his low immune system, he went off TV. He forgoes his WrestleMania Goldberg match.
Apparently, that was more to do with his either a kid or his twins were born and they had an immune problem. So it was really more to do with that than anything else.
Is completely fair. I've been there myself.
Which, yes, that is unfortunate, but you do have to examine the fact that he was not there for over half the year.
Right. He was off for at least 4 months. He missed that Goldberg match where we know for sure he was going to beat Goldberg at WrestleMania, win the Universal title. But then he did come back at SummerSlam. Basically, from Mania to SummerSlam, he was gone. And when he came back, it felt a little different. And you're instantly like, wait a minute. Okay, could this be it? Could this finally be? Could this finally be the moment we finally get it? Could we get Roman heel? Could we get it? And it wasn't a week later. We had the triple threat with Braun Strowman and The Fiend. They have the match. Roman wins the Universal title. He's with Paul Heyman, and it was beautiful, and it's been beautiful. And I cringed immediately when I thought, okay, is it really going to be Jey Uso as his big feud? But it worked. It worked amazingly. And
Jey,
I love Jey's been amazing. It's worked so well.
I always knew they would do good with singles runs.
His cold, calculated, methodical, monotone delivery works so well as an asshole heel with the biggest prick manager in the business right now. He's over the top. Roman's so laser focused, but he's a cowardice heel. But when he finally does get his hands on you, he's a fucking absolute monster. And that's why it works. And I love what they're doing with him. And I'm actually, for the first time, excited to see Roman Reigns wrestle. And every match he's had since his return has been good. I don't care what you think.
He's cut. Like, he's way more cut than he's ever been.
Oh, absolutely.
But, again, so we've gone through the nominees.
And I apologize. That one was going to take a while because we had a lot to go over there. We'll get through these a little faster from here on out. I promise.
So we now get to the unfortunate aspect of eliminations.
Well, unless you've got an argument here, I'm sorry, I don't agree with PW Insider. I'm getting rid of Jon Moxley.
Moxley had a good year, excellent year. He helped carry the company. He had some excellent matches. He carried Joey Janela to the best match he ever had. Was that last year or this year?
Last year, maybe.
Okay.
Year,
him and Kenny Omega have had some epic bouts.
Yeah.
But, he did end up spending some time having a feud with the late Brody Lee, which, God rest your soul, sir. That I liked a lot more than Tony did. I thought the match actually did I think I gave that match like 4 stars.
You were a lot kinder to that, but that was probably his best match of the year. I loved the build for him and Kingston, but the match didn't quite deliver.
Probably one of the better matches of Brody's career.
Fair,
but
other than that, like, you're getting the same Jon Moxley. Like, we know the routine. It is what it is.
Yeah,
I think it's fair to say we both weren't going to pick him.
Yeah. Now, this is one that it hurts. It hurts. But you think I'm going to eliminate?
Come on.
No, I'm not eliminating Taker. Tony's got his finger on the mouse ready to click on Taker. Come on. So it's down to we got Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns, Cody.
Not Buff Bagwell.
Oh, this is tough.
Who you tossing out?
Drew. I know.
Yeah, I'm gonna veto that.
You're gonna. Oh, so was that who you were gonna make?
I'm not ready to make that decision.
Okay, who do you think should go?
I'm gonna eliminate
Cody. Because he was the guy that I had as my backup for wrestler of the year.
I'm getting rid of Cody. I love Cody this year. I'll be completely honest. A lot of his matches were great, but it's the same problem with Cody every time. They're convoluted. There's too much ins. There's too much outs. There's too much outside interference on the big stage.
He's been the most consistently good wrestler all year.
Yep.
His matches have been more consistently good than anybody else on this list.
Yep. But there's a lot of that's great, and there's a lot of it that doesn't make any fucking sense, and it's just him overthinking his shit. Get yourself streamlined. I'm sorry.
Oh, this has been a banner year for Cody. He was my backup but if you insist, we will eliminate the Rhodes.
All right.
This is another year. Cody's been so close.
So close. Focus on your shit. Get it streamlined. Forget all the outside interference. Have the goddamn match.
So help you God if he wins the AEW World Title through
in 2021. Probably. Anyway, who's next? We got Roman Reigns, Undertaker, and Drew McIntyre.
Well, I'll be frank. My man for Wrestler of the Year.
Go ahead.
Is The Undertaker. He is my nominee for Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast 2020 Wrestler of the Year because nobody held our attention more. Nobody had us wondering what he was going to do more. Okay. No matches held not only our suspension of disbelief, but also just our emotional investment greater than the dead man.
Okay, that's fair. No, there were so many points this year where The Undertaker just captivated our emotions, and from the Last Ride documentaries, podcasts, and finally opening up and breaking character and having retirement matches and the cinematic match with AJ at Mania to his farewell Survivor Series. He was the last bastion of the glory days, and I'm not going to give you a hard time.
The last wrestler with that old school mystique. So tell me why he should be eliminated.
I'm not going to eliminate. If you want to pick him, that's fine.
All right, now, Tony, I can be persuaded.
I'm going to eliminate Roman Reigns.
Okay, so that's why you were so hard on
I'm eliminating Roman Reigns because like you said, he did have a banner 3 months. Up until that point, it was still just Roman Reigns, good guy, shoving you down.
So this is like me eliminating the Revival last year for the tag. Right. You're like, no, that's who I want this year, you no good grass. So
yes, I am picking Drew McIntyre for my men's wrestling. No, it's completely fair. We saw it happen. We saw him come out at the Royal Rumble. We saw the pop, and it changed when Drew McIntyre came out. The fuming of the crowd, getting mad every time Brock kicked somebody out. When Drew McIntyre came out, even after Strowman and Keith Lee had come in and gone, Drew McIntyre comes out and the crowd changed. And you knew, okay, wait a minute. This feels different. This feels a little bit different. And when he kicked him over the top and the pop that happened and the celebration at the end of the show, that was incredible. And then even without anybody in the crowd, his win over Brock at WrestleMania, even though it was a total of maybe 3 moves over 3-4 minutes.
It was a lot of claymores.
It didn't matter because it was Drew McIntyre finally grasping that brass ring. And he's done nothing but have stellar match after stellar match after stellar match. He's been not just the workhorse, he's been a great champion. He's been a great promo.
He's the guy.
He's been the guy.
Tony, as much as I hate to say, so we have eliminated Roman. I am going to begrudgingly, but with an addendum of an honorable mention and an honorable discharge to one great Undertaker. Here at the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, we give you your honorary discharge, dead man. Enjoy this new chapter of your life. If you want to come back, we'll watch and enjoy every minute of it. You don't have to, though. This has been 1 year, and it was the year of The Undertaker, but the 2020 Men's Wrestler of the Year for the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast is Drew McIntyre. Well done. And as a Scottish Lord of the Highlands, well done, sir. Well done, Tony. You persuaded me.
And I don't even feel good about it because The Undertaker's just a fucking...
I know. You never thought you'd be trying to talk me out of an Undertaker.
Justin, Chris, thanks for joining us.
Welcome to the show, Justin.
All right. We're gonna go into the women's Wrestler of the Year. Let's do this a little bit simpler and not beat around the bush nearly as much because let's be frank, this is a 3-horse race. I'm gonna pop it up right now. Hikaru Shida needs a mention. I know I nominated her. She just needed a mention. She's been the champion since.
She carried the AEW women's division in a division that has not been booked well.
There you go. I don't love.
I'm looking at you, Kenny.
I don't love.
You're coming up later you're coming up later with good mentions later, Kenny. But your booking of the AEW women's division has been piss poor. I'm sorry.
It's not been good, and I understand why Sheeta's been the champ. It's probably been because Riho's not available. Let's be frank. And Nyla Rose has been booked into oblivion. She's had a horrible year, and AEW as a whole, the women's division
it should have been a banner year for Nyla Rose.
No, it should have been a banner year for Britt Baker.
This should have been a year where Nyla fucking Rose there were stories about her in the New York fucking Times. Yeah. But no, it just got wasted. So
no, the AEW as a whole just kind of dropped the ball. And that's going to be our last AEW mention in the women's division. You brought this one up, Shayna Baszler, for this match alone.
Yeah, actually, this match is one of them. She did beat both of the golden champions, the great golden goddesses that are Bayley and Sasha Banks with this awesome hold. But not only that, she did basically somehow get a usable tag team run out of Nia Jax.
That she did.
Which is an achievement.
Shayna Baszler was poised to have...
And, her eliminate... You didn't like that match. The Elimination Chamber match where she smashed over all the other women there. Smashed her over.
Let me add a precursor to that. Shayna Baszler was originally pretty much booked to win the Women's Royal Rumble match. They pulled the plug on that at the last minute because Vince doesn't see her as a superstar the same way a lot of other people do. So they pulled the plug. They went with a tried and true Charlotte Flair. Fine.
Woo!
Not gonna begrudge them for that.
Shockingly, she did not make the list this year.
We'll touch on that in a second. But
I thought she'd always be
Shayna's backup was they have her blast for everybody Elimination Chamber, get the #1 contendership match at WrestleMania. But again, Vince said, no, I'm not feeling it. I'm not going to put her over here. She was all geared up. She torched everybody at Elimination Chamber. It wasn't even a good match. It was fine. It was great to smash somebody over. Would have been a great opening match. Should never have been the main event because it ruined what was otherwise an amazing card. Elimination Chamber is another one of the greatest events of the year. Sorry, not sorry if you don't remember it. That should not have been the main event.
The fact that he's saying that, there's no recency bias. That was before the global bastard.
We still had a crowd then, and that ruined what was otherwise a good show. That should have been the opener. After that, she had a pedestrian match with Becky Lynch. It was serviceable. It was fine. But then we find out Becky's pregnant. Becky has to vanquish the title, take time off. We haven't seen her since. Since then, Shayna has not done shit other than tag with Nia Jax and have an okay run with tag titles.
When the story is ultimately told, I wonder how long Becky knew before she decided to pull out of wrestling.
That will be interesting to find out. And that's another reason that Becky's not on the list either. Becky and Charlotte. Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, and Ronda Rousey, the 3 women that headlined last year's WrestleMania, are not on this list because Ronda's been MIA, Charlotte was injured for a lot of it, and Becky was off having a bite. So, I'm sorry, but Shayna's out. I'm done. No, I'm not entertaining this anymore. Shayna's out.
I'm going to agree with you, but I wanted her on the list because this was one that should have been a banner year for Shayna, but
Vince lost faith.
Yes. So now we move on.
This is a 3-horse race, and it always has been, and it always is going to be.
Bayley, and Asuka. Now, Tony,
who do you want to talk about
between Sasha and Bayley? I'm going to let you pick who gets eliminated.
Okay, let's talk. Well, first, let's talk about Bayley real quick. Bayley became the champ last year, and she held this title the SmackDown title for over a year. She's had a marvelous year. Not just her singles run, but her tag run with Sasha and the tag titles. She's done nothing but churn out consistent match after consistent match after consistent damn match. She's been a great heel. She's been a great champion. And honestly, when the title finally came off of her waist, it was like, this doesn't quite feel right. No. You got so used to seeing the belt with it.
I think they should, honestly, if they would have if she could keep healthy, just leave the SmackDown belt on her for, I know it's on her for a year. I know it's going to sound crazy. Leave it on her for another year. Yeah, because it will mean all the more when she drops it. Now, she did.
Not just that, but her match in Saudi Arabia this year, where they
historical.
That one was just where they didn't have to wear the dress downs, the covered ups, and they didn't just have to have a technical wrestling match. She got to do heel work in front of that crowd. Who else can say that as a woman? Nobody.
Yeah,
just Bayley. That's a landmark achievement for her.
Yeah,
maybe more so than her title run.
I was about to say that there's with those Saudi shows, a lot of history was made. Now, the one that I hope history does remember her, but will never quite regale her as much as they should, Renee Young.
That's fair.
I mean, my God, she
also pregnant.
Back when it was just a boys only show, she was still there as the commentator in the arena, like, "Hi, everybody." Oh Lord. So yes, but
no, Bayley had a great year, and I'm not ready to eliminate her.
Neither am I.
Okay, let's talk about Sasha Banks then.
Sasha. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Here's the thing, though. Like, Sasha was playing...
Because you and I both know what's about to happen.
Sasha was playing second fiddle to Bayley most of the year. All the great heel work, all the great matches that Bayley was having, Sasha was doing that just as much, but she was also playing sidekick for the first time in their relationship on the main roster.
Normally it was the other way. Bayley was the sidekick, Sasha's the...
I never thought it worked this way.
It works better.
It did work better.
But it's because they got Bayley so over.
Exactly. They did a good job of getting Bayley over and keeping Bayley over. And I love the fact that all four of the horsewomen are as over as they are. And this helped. Because I wasn't as big a Bayley fan until she turned heel. And this year really solidified that for me. But Sasha, when she came back and established she is still a heel, teamed back up with Bayley. She's had countless matches with Asuka that every one of them was fucking stellar.
We're getting to her.
And even her match with Bayley in the Hell in a Cell was a really solid Hell in a Cell match.
One of the better women's matches of the year.
I'll give my thoughts on that later. But
I just gave mine.
Sasha's big matches for me came against Asuka this year. And she did win at Survivor Series. She lost to Asuka at SummerSlam, and before that was at Extreme Rules. God, there were a lot where Bayley did the ref fake out, counted the pin. We didn't know who was the champ, who won, who lost, disqualification or not. So she had like 3 strong matches with Asuka. So it was all kind of on Asuka. So I'm going to eliminate Sasha Banks if you have no problem with it, and we're going to talk about Asuka.
This really is between Asuka and Bayley.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, Bayley, incredible run. Asuka has been one of the most reliable workhorses in the professional wrestling industry.
Not just that, but at least 2, maybe 3 times this year alone, she had more than 1 match on pay-per-view. That's workhorse, indeed.
And also, let's not forget, I'm going to throw this one out. She actually made the Money in the Bank match actually somewhat entertaining and watchable. And she was able to work with the boys just as well as she could work with anyone else. And her and Baron Corbin actually on top of that ladder, that was entertaining as hell. So
she had a great match with Becky Lynch at the Royal Rumble. She, at WrestleMania, had a great tag team match with Kairi Sane against Bliss and Cross for the tag titles to open WrestleMania. She's had, again, 3 great matches with Sasha Banks because they have a great chemistry. She worked with Bayley, had great matches with Bayley. She's now tagging with Charlotte. She's doing nothing but having great match after great match after great match because I don't know if Asuka's allowed to have a bad match. She lost Kairi Sane. Kairi Sane's out of WWE, and she's still having great matches. Hell, she's still winning tag team titles. She's won the Raw title in the Money in the Bank match. She's won the tag title. She was tag champ. She won it back. So she's had 2 tag titles. She's had a great year.
It's been a banner year for her, but here's the one thing. Now, I want you to keep this in mind between Bayley and Asuka. Bayley, great year, but Asuka also managed that throughout, no matter what gimmick she was thrown into or whatever the global bastard threw at us this year, Asuka stayed true to the character Asuka and made you believe that this was Asuka doing these strange
Whether
things.
or not she was heel or face, she's been Asuka, and it's really just been dictated by, hey, crowd, boo her now. Hey, crowd, cheer her now. She hasn't really changed much regardless of whether she's been face or heel.
Yeah, she stays true. That's the thing. I forget her real name as a performer, but her real name, you will not even know who that is because when she comes out, she just embodies the idea of this is Asuka. And through this, even in I can bring it up again, the Money in the Bank match, which was absurd. 80% of it, with the few parts that you could take serious, usually involved Asuka.
So who are we going with? Because I'm torn, honestly. This is one I'm torn on. I could go either way, Bayley or Asuka. Who are you going with?
My nominee for 2020 Women's Wrestler of the Year is the company workhorse, the one that could be relied on when things were bad and the future was uncertain. Outcomes were frail, and you could still count on Asuka to grapple on camera for you and to make sure that all of us here at the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast and everybody in the world of wrestling, it was almost business as usual for us. The people that are into football and everything, they're complaining, oh God, when am I getting my sport back? But us here, just kept rolling.
Even during bad
and
WWE
people like
shows.
Asuka were the people who made Asuka and Drew McIntyre were the people who made that happen.
Elimination Chamber, or not, Extreme Rules and Money in the Bank were terrible shows through and through, but Asuka was a great addition to those shows. She was the glue, like you said. That's a great pick. I cannot begrudge you at all. And the only reason I'm not going to agree with you is because somebody had to pick the other way. I'm going to pick Bayley because she deserves just as much mention. If you pick Bayley, I was going to pick Asuka.
Oh, so we have a split decision here, folks.
Barely a split. Honestly, you could call it, really, it's co.
I think that if Chicken's got a vote on it, we'll talk to him later.
There you go. Chicken, if you're still with us, break the tie for us. Who did you enjoy more, Bayley or Asuka? I can't go wrong either way. Again, Bayley had great matches. Asuka had great matches. I loved both of their work this year. And it's really telling that we had no Charlotte Flair for most of the year. We had no Becky Lynch after WrestleMania, and these 2 women stepped up in a big way. And I applaud both of them, and there's not a bad pick either way.
Yeah. God, that one is tough, isn't it?
It really is. And that one I was torn on, and that's why I let you go first. If you went with Bayley, I was going to pick Asuka.
Fair enough.
Real quick, I want to pop this up. Little Fettuccine 69. If I may, nominate Fan of the Year, Little Fettuccine 69. Been with us through most of the shows. Thank you much. You've really been kind of the glue holding our live shows together this year.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for joining us again. Are there any call-ups after the Rumble?
And may 2021 find you better than 2020 did.
Indeed. Are there any call-ups after the Rumble? Yes, but it's probably going to be during the Rumble. I don't think you're going to see any real massive call-ups until after WrestleMania. I think that's when you see the next round of NXT.
Yeah, I think you're going to see one big NXT call-up in the Rumble. Other than that, it's going to be the recognized known hands.
Wow. Didn't expect this, but the deciding vote is in. Asuka was consistent. Bayley was entertaining. I picked Bayley only because the character was better. Oh man!
So Bayley,
damn, I didn't expect that. I did not expect
Bayley takes it barely by a chicken.
Just by a feather.
By a chicken feather.
Congratulations to Asuka and Bayley both.
Yes,
Love
but
both.
Bayley takes it by a chicken. Now we move on, Tony, to the event of the year.
Okay, bear with me because I am uploading these images as we go.
There were several events this year that were different than anything that we've ever had in our experience as wrestling
Let's
fans.
talk about AEW first, shall we? Let's start off with Revolution.
Okay, this one was a great card. This is before the Global Bastard set.
This was right before COVID happened, and AEW got in. This was the Jon Moxley AEW World Title win. This was the Bucks versus Omega Page. Was it Cody MJF on this card?
I think that was.
I think it was like
which was a great.
This had a lot of really good matches, and
kind of like
the Moxley win shocked us.
And also, let me just say, MJF didn't make this list just barely. Okay, like just barely.
Yeah,
and I think next year,
he probably would.
I think next year is going to be the year of one Maxwell Jacob Friedman. But we shall see, folks.
Yeah, I don't know. Like this event had a lot of great matches. 3 that I just named, and this was right before the COVID thing really took the
Global Bastard.
This was one of those last events where the crowd was just on top of the moon.
And they were
the guy that you didn't expect to win the world title won the world title. The crowd loved it. Jon Moxley was talking about drinking Jack Daniels. It was a good time. It was a feel-good crowd. Pretty damn good show. Honestly, I say this was probably my favorite AEW card top to bottom of the year. I don't know if you'd agree with that or not, but that's mine.
Like top to bottom, just as a card, yes, this was tremendous. If you were going to show somebody just this card as a representation of AEW, you would be giving the show proper credence.
Is it your pick?
No.
Okay, how about the other AEW show, Double or Nothing 2 for 2020?
Now,
this one had a lot going on, but it had pretty minimal crowd.
Much like Jim Cornette says about last year's Double or Nothing, some of it was double and some of it was nothing.
I think last year's Double or Nothing was way better. I'm sorry. This one disappointed even the hardest of heart AEW fans.
I don't like some of it was a little off, but I'll be honest. Cody Rhodes versus Lance Archer. I don't know why, Tony, but in my mind just stands out as like when I know years from now.
Yeah.
When I think back to 2020, the Cody Rhodes versus Lance Archer is going to be one of like 3 matches that I think back on.
Which surprises me because again, that was one of those Cody matches where I didn't think Cody should have won over. I thought the outside interference was too much, and the Snake Roberts interference, and something was off. It went a long time. The match was fine. Don't get me wrong. Cody did a great job. I like Archer, but something felt off, even though the match was good, and I didn't love it as much as you did, but I don't know. Something about the event, and then, of course, the Mike Tyson stuff. He's falling asleep in the crowd. I think that's probably the biggest stain on this show.
Yeah, when they cut to Mike Tyson yawning, that wasn't a good look.
That really did. And Nyla Rose and Hikaru Shida had another really bad match on this one.
Yeah, that one was...
This was the Pac Orange Cassidy. Or no, that was Revolution. Which shit show was this the Mimosa Mayhem?
No, that wasn't Mimosa. That
was All Out. My God, man, there's a reason that one's not on there. Honestly, I don't know. A Double or Nothing just didn't do it.
It also, was that the one that had the Stadium Stampede match?
Yeah, let's talk about it. So this was the Stadium Stampede main event of Double or Nothing, and that's... Okay, so Phil's going to just cream all over this match.
It was a good match.
Right.
It was a great distraction.
Okay,
when COVID was at its worst, we were all in lockdown. As I was saying, the future was uncertain. Outcomes were frail. And we had no idea what tomorrow was going to bring. Right. And AEW takes their biggest stars and trashes a fucking football stadium for their main event. And it was marvelous.
You had the Bucks. You had Omega, you had Page, you had Matt Hardy versus the Inner Circle, Santana Ortiz,
excessive Alex Wright celebration.
This was,
which we actually get to that. This match gets mentioned a few more times.
This was basically the reason I hated this match as much as I did was because for the exact opposite reason of why you loved it. I think it was because
can I just say this one thing?
Yeah.
Before you get any further, it's something I've always thought might be a reason why like you and Chicken hate this match. Okay. I loved it. I don't watch football and don't really care for it.
Okay.
You and Chicken love it. Does that have anything to do with
I think that's probably fair. Like it's making a mockery of the football field. That's fine, but I don't think that's the sole reason. The sole reason for me was the fact that this was kind of the landmark moment where Jericho said, fuck this shit. I'm just going to be as goofy as humanly fucking possible. And he didn't care anymore. As soon as he lost the belt, he stopped giving a fuck. He's like, let's be a comedy act. Let's be silly. Let's try to be one of the young guys in the crowd. And I don't know. Like this was that tipping of the iceberg moment for him. And there was so much ludicrous shit here that I thought would have worked so much better as an angle, as a backstage segment. They didn't have to have a 40-minute match of just football field fuckery, as the great Jim Cornette called it. Yes. There was so much stuff that could have been done as segments instead of a match. They could have just had a fucking match. Hell, they could have had the War Game style match they were going to do instead of this, but they didn't. They went with this fucking thing. And you know what? 20 years ago, this was the backyard wrestler's fucking dream match. That's why Phil loves it so much. That's why he creams over it, because these are all the shitty ideas that he and I would have come up with 20 years ago and put on film, but we didn't get the chance to because we didn't have that kind of a budget for the star power. They took the star power and the budget, they put it into the Stadium Stampede match, and it was a fucking insult to the business. Let's be completely frank. It was funny, but at the same time, you're basically just pouring milk on a burn.
It was a bigger insult to the football business. I think that's why a lot of
No. It was a bigger insult to the wrestling business because you didn't see football players out there touching each other's sacks. No. My God, Jericho's wearing a fucking traffic cone as a witch hat. He's elbowing the mascot. They're doing 100 yards Northern Light suplex.
I hate to admit.
Matt Hardy is changing costumes while he's being drowned.
For two of the three things he just mentioned there.
It was all goddamn asinine shit, and this is when the cinematic.
I loved it.
Here's the thing: all the AEW fans shit on the Money in the Bank match. Guess what? It was the same fucking match, just with AEW flavor. So if you hated the Money in the Bank match, you should have hated the Stadium Stampede. But
we're
too far up our own asses to admit when crap is crap.
Your KOE champion Tony disagrees.
Okay,
but
so we touched on this.
But it's not the event of the year. It's just not.
You're fucking right. It's not. Let's talk about this real quick. Survivor Series.
Yes.
We've talked about The Undertaker a lot tonight. We can do it again, but for me,
emotional.
I think this was a good card. Like every match was 3 1/4 or above for both of us. The matches were solid and the ending was emotional as fuck. That's why it's getting a mention here. Is the image you can see behind us where Undertaker pays homage to Paul Bearer for the last time in the ring as he retires. It was heartbreaking. It was emotional. It was 30 years of a career, but the matches were good. But the Survivor Series matches themselves, the men's especially, lacked. The women's
compared to the years prior.
Yes. The rest of the matches were okay. The Roman Reigns Drew McIntyre match was the standout match, and other than that,
I think
and Sasha and Asuka.
Mostly, this is there because of Undertaker, and let's be frank.
The Street Profits New Day was another great.
Yeah, that was
cool. 3 title versus title, not. Obviously,
the Street Profits got the torch passed to them, which was necessary.
Yeah, the tag title match, the world title match,
more on them later.
Match were really great matches. The Survivor Series matches really lacked. This is here for the nostalgia feels. It's not the event of the year. It's not. Okay, so let's talk about Elimination Chamber real quick because, again, actually, Phil
got Baszler over.
Let me just pull this up real quick. I want to pull up the Elimination 2020 results, because this was a fucking fantastic card. Wikipedia is failing me because that's showing me all of them. We just went 2020. We're doing this live, folks.
You're getting us live.
Yep. Without all the unedited bullshit. All right, so pre-show Viking Raiders defeated Kurt Hawk and Zack Ryder. Nobody gives a flying fuck. Daniel Bryan defeated Drew Gulak by technical submission. More on that later. Andrade defeated Humberto in a pretty decent match. They just never really clicked as much as we expected them to. The SmackDown Tag Title Elimination Chamber match was shockingly good. Thought it was going to be busy.
It was a little busy.
The Lucha House Party kind of flunked out a little bit there in the middle. And
so they got rid of them quick.
They got rid of them quick, but the rest of the match was really damn good. Aleister Black, AJ Styles. Holy fuck, that match was
Aleister Black defeated AJ Styles. Remember when they were pushing him?
Yep, I sure do, and that's another reason this card was great. Like, that match was a 4-star match for me. Had the Good Brothers and The Undertaker not gotten involved, and they let these guys just have a one-on-one fucking 5-star, 6-star classic, this may have been the event of the year. But it was only a 4-star match for me in the end. A great fucking match, though. Street Profits defeated Rollins and Murphy. That was another highly rated tag team match that I never thought would have been, for me personally. Sami Zayn, Nakamura, and Cesaro defeated Braun Strowman. Sami Zayn won the Intercontinental title. It was stupid. It was ridiculous, but it was Sami's great heel work.
We wasted our time with crowds on that.
And then it ended in the worst way possible when Shayna won the Elimination Chamber.
I liked it a lot more than he did.
That's fair. Like, it would have been a great opener. So I love that card. It was right before the crowds went away.
Yeah, they should have ended that with Taker Styles. Yep. That's basically what it was. Taker Styles.
It was a great show. All right. Great show, but it was not event of the year.
No.
Sorry we beat around the bush as long as we did.
It's Royal Rumble.
It was Royal Rumble.
It was Royal Rumble. It was amazing. Tony and I were there. We were there in person.
Okay, so we're 51 minutes into this thing, and we're just now getting to this. We're coming back full circle, folks. January 2020, before the fucking lockdowns and shutdowns and coronavirus hit, myself and Phil KOE here went down to Houston for our first big WWE pay-per-view, live and in person. I hadn't been to a WWE pay-per-view since I was less than 10 years old in your house, and he'd never been to one, and we got to do this together. And that's what made it so great. We went down there. We went down to Houston. We did Worlds Collide the night before. We did Royal Rumble. It was so much fun. And yes, we're being biased, but also Royal Rumble was the big event before the entire country and the entire world.
There actually was no event that had a bigger crowd. It just didn't exist. And also, the reason why we're also giving it event of the year is it did get the 2 biggest pops in the same event.
Yes.
The Royal Rumble match. And yeah, that was amazingly well booked. It was just everything about it.
I don't want to gush over this.
And also, it was Pat Patterson. Razor glass to you, Pat.
Yeah.
It was Pat Patterson's last agented Royal Rumble match. So
and we got to see it.
Yeah, we were there live for it.
I don't want to gush over this event too much because
more on that later.
I love the Asuka the Asuka match versus Becky Lynch was amazing. The Women's Rumble was good. The Men's Royal Rumble was fucking fantastic. The Brock Lesnar heel work halfway through the thing. The Drew McIntyre elimination. The Edge return.
Brock taking the belt in the middle of the ring. And the crowd. First time in my life I ever saw old school heel heat. Just boo! Fuck you!
Phil got the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast title onto the screen in the first match with Reigns and Corbin. My God, just
treat it well, chicken. It's part of WWE history now.
There was so much good about this show. Like the only bad thing that I can say about this was the crowd did not get to see the timer counting down. A little bit of the production was off, but that was fucking it. But the show as a whole was really damn great. The crowd was on fire. It worked. We left the show. We went back to the motel room. We met a bunch of other fans. We podcasted about it. And we literally just watched the show over again in its entirety about a week ago. And it was still
amazing.
Fucking amazing. So
yeah, just top to bottom, it's a great
top
show.
to bottom, great show. Royal Rumble was amazing.
This global I was thinking when we were there at Royal Rumble, WWE's got such momentum underneath them right now.
Oh, man.
And then this thing just kicked it all out from under them. But they kept things rolling. To Vince McMahon's credit, they just kept things rolling right along. And if you were if you were just a fan of wrestling, other than the fact that there was no crowds, like you still had new content every week.
That's true. And that's the thing. Like you were really hesitant on Drew McIntyre because his big moment came to a crowd of nobody, and it's such a fucking shame.
But it's not recency bias that gives him that, because we were there almost a year ago.
We got his Mania moment before he knew it was going to be his Mania moment, and that's the big thing here. Seeing Brock Lesnar do his heel work like only he can, seeing that epic return after 9 years of Edge, just the emotion, starting the na goodbye chants. Phil finally got to see Santina Marella in the Women's Rumble, man. The event was amazing, and
I've been predicting it for years. For years, I've been predicting Santina Marella is going to be in the Women's Royal Rumble, and I was there live to see it.
My wife lined us up with the tickets, and I'm so glad we did that and didn't wait for
thank God.
Because otherwise we wouldn't have went, and it was just ultimately perfect. Like, this was just the perfect event this year for us to see, and as a whole, it is. It's our 2020 event of the year, and I think we knew that a long time ago.
And also, special credit to Green Shirt Guy, who went to the Performance Center for WrestleMania
and stood by the door.
Yep. Well done, sir. Well done. I wouldn't have even objected if they just let that guy in.
I think, you could have put him in a hazmat suit at the time and put him.
I'll just put him way in the back. All right, so now we move on to the tag team of the year.
All right, so
the tag team wrestling division has been a very competitive one this year.
No, it hasn't.
Normally it's an afterthought, but at least in AEW, it's a main event caliber match.
So that's how I wanted to preface this. The tag team division as a whole is basically forgotten about in WWE, and this year's no exception. So we're going to talk about them first. And I don't think it's any surprise that first up we've got the Street Profits.
I think I was the one who nominated them.
I was this close. They were right there with
I am tremendously entertained by them.
Montez Ford is amazing.
Is going to be the
Angelo Dawkins is there.
Angelo Dawkins, he's got a very bright future ahead of him. So long as the Street Profits stay together.
Yep. So Montez Ford is amazing.
God.
He's athletic. He's strong. He's fast. He's a high flyer. He's a technician.
He's enthusiastic.
He emotes.
And he's passionate about what he does.
Montez Ford is amazing. He's amazing.
I would not be now, who knows? You never know what the future holds. But I wouldn't be a bit surprised to hear about him challenging for one of the world and universal titles.
No, I think if there's going to be absolutely, if there's going to be, honestly, like here to hear first, folks. But if you were to take somebody from SmackDown and break up a tag team and add them to the Hurt Business, a lot of people are talking, let's add Keith Lee to the Hurt Business. Nah, fuck that. Right now, add Montez Ford to the Hurt Business. Montez Ford, an MVP, could be The Rock and Farouk.
Also, congratulations to MVP. He actually won a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament. Who would have known? He actually won, it was a very...
Dude's almost 50.
Yeah, and it was a very high-end Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament. This was one of the... Now, it was for a very specific class, but it was for a world title. So well done.
Win's a win. So I think the fair thing here is the fact that we're gushing over Montez Ford. We're not super high on Angelo Dawkins. He's a good worker. He's fine. He's a great tag partner.
Are you about to do it?
That's why I'm eliminating them. Actually, let's be frank. I'm eliminating them for another reason we're going to get into later. Real soon.
Oh, boy.
So the next one up in the WWE is like this. This is not even remotely debatable. This deserves an honorable mention.
They're women's tag team of the year.
Oh shit! Can't even see them. We're just in front of them. Sasha Banks.
We're the women's tag team of the get back of the show.
Wins a win.
We're the women's tag team of the year. What can I say?
Sasha Banks and Bayley, all the gushing we did over them in the women's wrestler of the year, they did the same amount of work in the tag team division as a unit. Even the most jaded WWE fans couldn't ignore that. They're doing great heel work. They were being a great team. They're winning cowardly. They're cheating. They're doing all the great shit. And then it culminated with their breakup. Yeah, it was perfect for that. And they were the champs. It just worked. They were wrestling on Raw, SmackDown. Fuck, they were wrestling on NXT. They're on pay-per-view. They pretty much did it all even as a team and as individuals. So to not mention them would be a travesty. But I think we both know
it's not
tag team of the year because it's pretty much a 3-horse race again, and it's all coming from AEW. And first up, I'm going to talk about the Bucks.
Boy, they are.
Oh God, we got the weird ref. Sorry, everybody. I picked the weird ref.
Yeah, we're the champs. What can be said about them? They've had an amazing year. They had an amazing match with Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. They had an amazing match with FTR.
Right there.
They had an amazing match at the Stadium Stampede. It was like
I'm going to stop you there for sure.
What?
I
was wondering how long it's going to take.
The Bucks in 2019 had 2 really highly rated Dave Meltzer matches. One was
they did have tag team.
One was a really good tag team match. The other was Cirque du Soleil with ladders.
Well, the one that they had with Dustin and Cody, that was
actually their best tag team match that year. Not the best tag team match of the year, but it was their best tag team.
I'm just going to edit that so it sounds like Tony said that, so I don't care. And then I'll edit in the full Royal Rumble pop.
This year it started with Revolution when they had a really good match with Omega and Page. I didn't love it nearly as much as you did, but I probably wasn't quite as fair to it as I could have been at the time. I'll admit that now. But their match with FTR, while it wasn't the match that I wanted out of FTR, they both gave and took a little bit, and it was another instant classic. The Bucks did have. I'm trying to be kind to the Bucks because they're not my favorite team in the world. They're not my favorite wrestlers in the world, but they are one of the better tag teams in the world. It doesn't matter if you like them or not. They did win the belts. They finally won the belts of the company that they were executive vice presidents in. So congratulations for that hard-fought accomplishment.
The fact that they had to chase them, that's kind of shocking.
Yeah.
I would have totally bought them being the champs originally. But all right, now we get into
Omega and Page, the champs coming into the year.
Okay. Here's the thing. They had one of the best matches of the year.
Yep.
Against the Young Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
But our studio audience.
Sure, like they were there.
It was ascendant in that regard.
So
wait a minute.
I don't know. This match, you're right. The Bucks versus Omega and Page, the team now told an amazing story. If you could get past all of the cooperative, non-tag team match bullshit, this was a Cirque du Soleil match with story for once, but it wasn't bad. I could have rated it a lot lower. I could have rated it a lot higher. But Omega and Page were the champs coming into the year. And then, honestly, their best match of the year for me was the match where they lost into FTR at All Out. That match. Love that match so much. Can't say enough good about
it. I understand that, but and we'll get into this later. But yes, I'm going to be honest with you, Tony. Because they weren't really an operational tag team for a good chunk of the year, I'm going to eliminate.
Wow. Okay, so they're gone, just like that. We're back to the Bucks
versus.
Okay.
Who do you have left, Tony?
All we got left is the
FTR,
the greatest tag team in the world.
That's who you nominated last year, correct? was the Revival.
Yeah.
And I went with Bucks.
Yeah.
And here we are again.
So, yeah, here we are again.
Damn it.
It's the sequel, folks.
So apparently we got to go back and rewatch that match together.
Yeah, no, and
well, first of all, before we get into this, well done, Bucks and FTR.
There you go.
The fact that it doesn't really matter. From year to year, it boils down to the two of you again. Thank God they're in the same company.
Time for a break. All right.
Time for a break.
No, they are finally in the same company. Let me just get this out of the way now. We're talking about FTR. This is my favorite tag team in the world right now. But we're talking about tag team of the year. Has FTR had the best year as a tag team as a whole? Maybe. My hesitation here is probably the fact that their debut was shit. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. AEW botched this from the get-go. They brought them in as quasi-good guys. They're like, hey, we saved you, Bucks. You're welcome. We're kind of edgy. We're kind of cool, but we're going to be on the same team and stuff. We're going to do 8-man tags with you. And we're going to be kind of good guys. And then for no reason whatsoever, they turned on them and officially turned heel. Their entire debut was botched. They should have debuted as heels. So it is what it is. But lo and behold, they beat Omega and Page for the tag titles, as it should have been. Then at the next pay-per-view, they immediately dropped in the Bucks, which was not good booking. So they've been fumbled a lot in terms of booking as a whole. So this does come down to FTR and the Bucks.
So Tony, I'm going to leave it to you to break the stalemate of last year. Who do you give the tag team of the year? The Bucks or FTR, Tony? I'm going to leave it to you. This is going to settle something that we've been arguing about for a year now. Oh, this is rough, ain't it?
This is tough. Honestly, out of the 3 AEW tag teams that we've been talking about, they've all had matches with each other, and all 3 were really good. One of the most recent memories for me is the Bucks versus FTR. I wanted a different match, but the match we got was still really damn good as long as you can get past the fact that it's still a Bucks match. FTR did their stuff. I know the Young Bucks are leaving 2020 as the champions, but for me,
FTR.
it's FTR.
Tony,
I think as a whole, their matches are the only tag team matches that have been top to bottom, month to month, consistently, not just watchable, but really great tag team matches. Plus,
I really thought
plus this guy in the middle knows tag team wrestling.
A little bit.
A little bit.
He's done it once or twice. I think he's even had 3.
Their respect for not just the business, but for tag team wrestling.
Should be done.
How it should be done. Respecting the rules. Respecting the art form that is the tag team wrestling. Respecting the accounts. Just how you interact. How you tag in and out. Nobody else respects it like they do. Nobody else is going to pay attention to the small details like they do. And even though they won the titles and immediately lost them to both elite members, winning and losing, that doesn't matter to me. They're businessmen, they're company men, they're workhorses. They go in, they do the job that they're expected to do, and that's what really sealed it. They do it well. And that's what sealed it for me. I could have picked the Bucks here because they won the belts, but that didn't matter in the end because FTR went in and they did the job. It was tough, though, wasn't it? It was tough.
Now, me personally, my personal tag team of the year, but I'm going to go with Tony here on this one. We're giving them the official nod, but to me personally, I was just entertained by more Young Bucks matches.
And that's fair because they did have a lot of really high-flying, high-spot. It's the Young Bucks match.
It wasn't that. Like, again, I'm going to get into it. We'll get into that later. We'll get there later. So now we move on to the wasted talents.
Let's do this
the
quickly.
Ones that
we got a lot of ground to make up here, folks. We're already over an hour in. This is a new category. Let's talk about it real quick because in the COVID year that was 2020, we did have a lot of wasted talents. Phil brought up this one real quick, and yeah,
Kofi Kingston.
Yeah, this is undeniable.
Is a good nominee for wasted talent of the year.
2019.
Remember Kofi Mania?
2019.
He was one of the top merchandise sellers.
Elimination Chamber to WrestleMania to when he dropped the belt to Brock
but
on the debut episode of SmackDown.
There's a reason that had to happen. They had to get the belt on Brock to make the Fox Corporation happy.
The problem was they did nothing with Kofi after the fact, other than, okay, you're back in your tag team and you can just do that.
Now, unfortunately, Tony, this is one of those distinctions that nobody on this list wants to win.
Get it? Yeah, Kofi was wasted a lot, but no, he's not the most wasted because he has had tag team title runs. He's still there.
All right. So who do you think's been more wasted? If we're eliminating Kofi off the bat, are we doing that?
Yeah.
Because he has had some decent. Okay.
I'm going to go with Shayna Baszler was one of the people I wanted to talk about because, again, we touched on this early. She was supposed to win the Rumble. She didn't. She won the Elimination Chamber. Was supposed to win at Mania. She didn't. She was supposed to have a great singles run. Nope, pair her with fucking Nia Jax. She got a tag title. She's still not going to leave the year.
You and I were thinking along the same lines when it comes to Shayna Baszler, but it went different ways.
Mirror images, yes. But no, she did win a tag team title. She has been used on the show, so you're right. She's not the most wasted. I did want to touch on that, though. She has been wasted in that regard.
Oh, yeah. So who do you have next?
I'm going to touch here real quick. This one hurts because I thought big things were coming for Rhea Ripley.
So did I, and then just disappeared. Like
this one probably.
You could find Amelia Earhart easier than you could find a mention of Rhea Ripley looking like a badass in the last 5 to 10 months.
They haven't done a good job with Rhea Ripley. She is hands down the star of the NXT Women's Division. She's great in the ring. Her matches make sense. She looks phenomenal. She looks like a badass. Honestly, the biggest disservice is going to be bringing her up to the main roster, and they teased that this year with Charlotte. We thought for sure she was going to win the Mania, defend successfully the title against Charlotte. Nope. She lost the NXT Women's title to Charlotte. We saw Rhea Ripley and Toni Storm in Worlds Collide. Good match. Her match against Charlotte. Good match. Here's the problem, and I'll be completely frank. We were a little burned out after night one, so we were not completely fair to Charlotte versus Rhea as the opening match of night two. I want to go back and watch it with a clear head.
I thought it was a decent technical match, but
we were not fair to it.
It did not play into the empty arena aspect at all.
No, that hurt a lot.
It was playing like there was phantom fans there.
And had this had fans, this would have been one of the
it would have been better. Would have been a lot better.
So
I can see why she would be one of the more.
But they did nothing with her since then, and they've injected her into these goofy, funky storylines in NXT, which has really been circling the drain this year. So Rhea's been wasted. Is she the most wasted? I don't think so.
And then we move on to
who's your nomination?
Well, unfortunately, let's get to him. The Fiend.
Okay.
The Fiend, the most wasted talent. When we were there in Houston in January, Tony, there was a 9-year-old boy that was sitting next to me. Yep. You were sitting this side of me. There's a 9-year-old boy sitting next to me. Yep. He was there wearing a Fiend mask, hurt heel gloves, and he was there to see two things: the Fiend and Drew McIntyre win the Royal Rumble. So it was probably one of the best Royal. That kid will remember that event forever.
That's true.
But and I even remember thinking sorry, kid, I don't think Drew's gonna win. Sorry. But going from there where he was to then Goldberg taking the belt off of him and cutting a lot of momentum.
That was basically
to the way that they fucking ended this year.
No, the Goldberg beating the Fiend. Hang on. Goldberg beating the Fiend for the Universal title was the whoopee cushion moment. He still had all that momentum. He was the Universal Champion. He was still intimidating. He was still impressive.
Even after Hell in a Cell.
Even after that, he goes into WrestleMania, or not WrestleMania, Super Showdown. He drops the Universal title to Goldberg, and it felt like a whoopee cushion going off, and that deflated him so badly. It took a lot of effort. The Braun Strowman feud, even though it had a really bad cinematic swamp fight, was a good feud.
I forgot all about that one.
Was a good feud. But it was completely overshadowed by Roman Reigns returning and just going, yeah, you did fine, Braun and Fiend being the place. I'll just take that back now. Thank you very much. Since then,
Tony even called it seconds before it happened. Like, here comes Roman to spear the Fiend, and bam, there it is. And I was like, well, there goes the Fiend as being the centerpiece of this.
That was a black cat being put out. And since then, he moved to Raw. They paired him with Alexa Bliss. Love Alexa. And we'll touch on this more later. So, yeah, he's been wasted. My last nomination for Wasted of the Year. This fucking guy. This is a joke. It's stupid, and I don't even understand where they're going with this. This is Miro, formerly Rusev. He was so excited to get out of WWE, to get to AEW. They debuted him as the best man of a wedding angle.
And the best Twitch streamer there ever was.
And gamer. Twitch gamer. And they kind of forget about that wedding thing, but then they kind of remember, then they kind of forget. Nobody knows where it's at. He's had really bad matches tagging with Kip Sabian, and he's done pretty much nothing. He's in great shape. He looks awesome, except for his wardrobe.
It's not.
His booking has been fucking shit. This is a guy.
But I do want one thing to happen in the future in 2021. I want AEW, since they're working with Impact, this could actually work.
Okay.
Have Aiden English come up for a
Miro Day.
Oh God, that'd be marvelous. Yes.
Yeah, that would be. No, Miro's been completely and utterly wasted. The angle, the storyline, his matches, nothing has been good. I'm honestly annoyed by it because this guy was just heralded as an up-and-comer. He was going to beat John Cena. He was going to be in that upper echelon. He was going to be... And then, the
Cena thing. A lot of guys thought they were going to beat John Cena.
Exactly.
Bad News Brown thought he was going to beat Hogan, Tony. A lot of guys get told a lot of things.
But Rusev had a lot of chances, and for whatever reason, it just didn't pan out, and he left. And his booking in AEW has been trash. So it comes down for us. Is it The Fiend or is it Miro?
I am going to nominate The Fiend because Miro had no chance of mainstream awareness or success. The Fiend was this close to going mimetic. Okay, he was going to be a mainstream
They had a chance to make a star. They didn't pull the trigger.
And WWE, unfortunately, does that purposely now because they don't want people to get too big like The Rock or John Cena to get away from them.
This guy, Rusev Day. Did you just get over naturally on your own?
Get the
fuck that. We're going to bury your ass. And that's why this guy didn't stand a chance in AEW, because when he got there, he'd been buried so poorly from a fucking cheating wife cuck angle that it didn't matter what he did. So what did they do? What do they do in AEW? They put him in the middle of a marriage angle. Solid. So it's not like he was coming from great heights and being thrown under the bus. He was coming from back thought.
He's all right, but he's got a chance to rehabilitate himself. Do you agree with my Fiend pick?
Here's the thing. For me, the biggest waste of talent of 2020 is Miro, except for the fact that The Fiend was white hot, and you basically ruined it.
Yeah,
he was our Wrestler of the Year last year.
I was just going to bring that up, that last year he was Wrestler of the Year, and now he is the most wasted talent of the year.
The cinematic matches can go either way. You can either love them, you can hate them, you can be indifferent to them. But the booking of Bray Wyatt, The Fiend, you had a chance.
You did.
You had a chance. You botched it with Seth Rollins. You botched it with Roman Reigns. You clearly botched it with Dean Ambrose. He's seeked out greener pastures. You finally got the right chemistry for Bray Wyatt. You had the chance to make a new superstar with Brock Lesnar not wanting to work even part-time, with The Undertaker retiring, with John Cena going, fuck this, movies are better. with The Rock going, yeah, I'm not coming back anytime soon. You had a chance to make a new star.
Bye.
You fucked it up. It's the Fiend.
Yep, it's got to be the Fiend. So, Fiend, congratulations.
You went from Wrestler of the Year to Wasted Talent of the Year. Fuck.
Yeah. So we move on.
We've got people coming and going, watching the live stream. We're going for a while. I understand that. If we have any more people with thoughts, jump into the comments. If you're still watching, bear with us if you're coming and going. We got a lot to say.
And trust me, folks, it's going to get explosive at the main event.
Yeah, we got a lot. We got more to talk about.
So we've got the botch.
This won't take long.
There's a couple of botches that were just worthy of mentioning this year. And not all of them include Tony G losing the title and having it sent off to Iowa. Yeah. So, anyways, yep. Yeah, so, yeah, all right.
Well, fuck you. Fuck you very much. All right.
Hey, at least we got one champ on this show here to show up, to actually show up as a reigning champion in our
I didn't bring my Squirrel Master Classic title for that reason alone, because I'm not a whore. Anywho, Botch of the Year. Here we go. New category. Real fast. Let's talk about this behind me. Nia Jax injured Kairi Sane about 3-4 fucking times. Because Nia Jax is a shitty worker. Kairi Sane's great.
I'll injure most girls.
She, in this match alone, she buckle bombed her. Look. She buckle bombed her into the bottom buckle and concussed her. And then she ragdolled her on the outside. Something was just horrible. That wasn't the only match. That wasn't the only time. Nia Jax, you suck. Fuck this. Fuck your feud with Kairi Sane. You probably ran her out of the company. Congratulations.
Yeah, she
so many botches from Nia Jax to Kairi Sane alone. This is a big one for me, and I think it's the reason that Hikaru Shida was the champion for as long as she was this year. Britt Baker injured by Hikaru Shida and
Nyla Rose and Statlander.
And Statlander dumped Nyla Rose onto Britt Baker.
Onto Britt Baker's legs. Of course that's going to happen.
Here you go. This is why AEW struggles. You need an agent to a match to tell you when your stupid spots are fucking stupid. Instead, Tony Khan's just sitting there in Gorilla going, sounds fucking great. Go out there and have fun, everyone. No, you need somebody at Gorilla going, yeah, don't fucking do that. That's going to end badly. And guess what? This ended badly. You took the most charismatic heel of the women's division and you fucking sidelined her for months on end. Months on end. Britt Baker, not the greatest worker, greatest heel in the women's division. You sidelined her because a bunch of fucking indie gals decided, let's DVD the fucking heavyweight Nyla Rose onto her legs. And you busted her leg for months on end. Congratulations, you fucking twits.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. So that was one of the bigger botches of the year, but let's move right along, Tony, because there was a couple of them.
Yeah, so this
is this...
oh, no, this is on Dynamite, folks. This happened on Dynamite. The Dark Order, the Butcher and the Blade, a bunch of fucking other people. I don't even remember. I think it was an 8-man tag. Here's what I remember. A bunch of clusterfuck shit happens. A big double top rope move with the private party happens. Phil, if you'd move over for a second. Alex Reynolds. He's this guy. This guy right here. That's Alex Reynolds of the Dark Order. After like a double team move from private party, he was knocked unconscious. And he laid right there for what felt like an hour, was really just like a minute or two, felt like an hour. And eventually what you're seeing is the Butcher and the Blade drag his lifeless body to the corner to tag him out because the fucking shitty ref over here doesn't know to throw up the X symbol and go, hey, we got a fucking hurt wrestler here. So they just drug his limp body to the corner, tagged him out, and rolled him outside. AEW has been really bad about injuries this year. We just talked about Britt Baker's. Chris Statlander got injured. Alex Reynolds concussed in the middle of the ring, knocked out cold. Matt Hardy falling off of a scaffold through a table, bashing his head onto concrete, concussed as a motherfucker. AEW as a whole, fuck you and your concussion protocol. This is another shining example of that.
Ouch.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kudos to you, Tony Khan. You booking extraordinaire. Was this the botch of the year, though?
You can tell Tony's really vying for a job at AEW.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, he's really
and I'd still get it. Was this the botch of the year?
No, I'm not.
Nope, it's another AEW. What do you know? Here you go, folks. Botch
now
of
this
the
one
fucking year
is all entirely on one performer. You can't really blame
No,
anybody
this
else.
isn't Gorilla Position or Tony Khan or the ref.
This is Matt Sydal, which is normally the master of the shooting star press.
Formerly Everett Bourne.
It's what? Guess what? You live by the shooting star press. You might fucking slam your back of your head on the mat
during the Casino Battle
press.
Royal. He was the big surprise. Ascends the turnbuckle during his debut. Slips the foot. Basically, almost paralyzes himself. Dumps himself in a heap in the corner. Several wrestlers scurried over to check on him. Somehow
that was one thing. Like, I'll be honest. Like,
yeah.
Okay, guy lands on his back and he obviously knocked the wind out of himself.
Yeah.
Did it really require one of his opponents to basically like dive on him? Like, oh no, my beloved cousin! No, my beloved blood brother! Oh, don't let a single hair on your head! I will have a candlelight vigil for you. Like that was a little.
Again, this comes back to agenting matches. You got to have people in there that know how to handle things when shit goes wrong. This went wrong. Nobody knows what to do in AEW when something goes wrong, when things go off script.
Their names are Cody and Chris, and they can't do on-the-job training every match.
Yeah, too bad Chris is too busy jobbing to worthless fucks. Anyway,
Tony, that's on-the-job training.
This is botch of the year. There's not been a...
Ooh, that's tough.
This took a guy who was going to fucking be a big deal on AEW, and he basically wanted to be anywhere else in this moment. About 3 seconds after this, when he regained consciousness from jackknifing his neck and back of his head, I want to be anywhere else right now. I'd rather be jobbing on fucking WWE Velocity right now.
Yep. Because, I was going to say that the Britt Baker one was worse.
It's not. We both remember this.
Because it cost so much money. But the things they could have done with Matt Sydal, as you said, if they would have actually been able to put him as the high-flying superstar.
Let me set your mind at ease, because even though Britt Baker was injured, she was able to sit ringside and be a great heel. She didn't even have to wrestle.
Did she get dumped into a freaking dumpster one
Doesn't
time?
Matter. She was still on the show.
She's still great.
Matt Sydal had really done shit.
I was about to say, we can't give Britt Baker the botch of the year because, trust me, unfortunately, one of her efforts will come up later.
We're going to get there.
So we're giving it to Matt.
So congratulations, Evan. Matt Sydal, you sucked. And
unfortunately, he is really good. Remember when Randy Orton caught him with that RKO in the Shooting Star? Is amazing stuff. He just had an off night, and it was really humid in Florida, and he slipped on the top rope, which it's unfortunate that the one time he needed it to go perfect. Now, I do kind of get the feeling he was also just a little overamped.
No, that's part of it. It just sucked.
Okay, now
we watched the guy about cripple himself. Honestly, I don't know how to get around it.
But so the fact that he's still working and he's good. Here's the 2000. We're halfway.
We're halfway point. So anybody still watching, again, comments. Tell us what you think.
Now,
do you
I don't know if you know
do you
this,
disagree?
Tony, the KOE Nation is such a tech-savvy group that even if there's one view watching, what that really means is the KOE Nation is having a 40,000 person viewing party.
Right.
So like the KOE Nation really, we're like digital. We're like the Sand folk from Star Wars, or they hide their numbers. Oh God! So now we're going to worst wrestler of the year.
Yeah, this was my first nomination, and I'm going to tell you why. This is Michael Nakazawa. Naka fuck you, according to Jim Cornette. Nakazawa. This guy sucks ass. Like, this guy's not even entertaining funny. He's not shitty funny. He's not a good worker.
He's go away funny?
He's go away funny. He wears a Speedo. He uses baby oil. He sucks ass. This was, he was so bad this year when he was actually put on the main show. Once they realized, oh, fuck, this guy sucks as bad as we think he does, they put him on Dark. And I haven't had to see him since.
Now,
thanks for that.
The reason I'm going to eliminate him as worst wrestler.
Oh, wait, before you do that, no, hang on. This motherfucker had even one of the worst segments of the year where he's training Kenny Omega while Kenny Omega's doing just fucking bench presses. And then the camera pans out and it's like 10 pounds on one side and a pound on the other. And he says, yeah, add another pound to the 1 pound side. And Kenny's even, oh, it's so hard because it's funny because I'm training and I'm lifting weights and it's funny. You're my buddy and we're doing comedy. And then Kenny Omega and Naka fuck you had one of the worst tag team matches of history against the Best Friends. It was an embarrassment. It was legitimately embarrassing to the business. It sucked. Fuck you, Nakazawa. You are a shitty wrestler. You suck, and I want you to never be on my screen again.
Ouch. I am going to eliminate him for worst wrestler of the year.
He sucks.
He does, but he can take a bump. He knows how to actually do the basic mechanics of wrestling. He won't get you injured in a match.
Barely.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is if you do a back body drop, he'll take it properly. If he back body drops you, he will drop you properly. Okay? He's properly trained. He's just got a really shitty gimmick, and he's getting himself over in a really shitty way to accommodate for the fact that he's not top end.
So who's not top end?
Oh, this next one here. Yep. Nia Jax. I'll injure most girls, and I'll leave most of them limping. It's just, yeah, this is
So this is a fairly popular go-to
pick
because Nia Jax.
She injures a lot of people. Even if you want to point to good, she's had a couple of good spots this year, but
she's got to stick. Like, she has injured more wrestlers with potential than Seth Rollins, which is saying something.
But say it's now, Nia, you're talking to someone that understands, working a little snug, getting your shit in stiff, making sure that you respect the business. But Nia, we all know you respect the business. We trust me. You respect the business. You don't need to work no more snub.
No,
it's time. It's fine. We get it.
Please stop injuring the horsewomen because they can actually work a match.
Ouch. Ouch. So
is she the worst wrestler of the year?
No, not even close.
So my next nomination is going to be this fucking guy. Yes, this is a guy. Go ahead and
who is this?
Just lean out of the shot there for a second, Phil.
No problem.
This is Marco Stunt.
Oh God.
This is Marco Stunt. He is the Jurassic Express poster boy, manager-ish wrestler who's like 20-something years old. He's like shorter than my short ass, weighs less than me, can't wrestle for fuck, but they all praise him as a great wrestler. Here he is on an indie show this year, having a guy shove his face down on a rubber dong. That's, oh, sorry. Can you not see it because of the microphone? Well, that's probably for the best. That's a rubber dildo that this guy here, that's surprisingly not Joey Ryan, is forcing him to face fuck in the middle of a wrestling match. And all 50 of these people watching they're just devastated.
The reason he is not the worst wrestler of the year is because he actually, when teamed with Jurassic Express, actually can put together some pretty serviceable. And he had last year the 6-man tag wrestling match of the year against
that
MCU.
wasn't even a category.
I know, but if there were to be one, that would have been it. New Day would have been like, what the fuck, man? You didn't have...
Yeah, no shit. No, fuck that. No, the shit.
You just start that shit 2020 when we break up? Fuck you, man. Yeah, the New Day is just like, man, we got gypped.
Right,
no. But
Marco Stunt, you suck. Your family dynasty of wrestling sucks. Don't do this shit. Honestly, just don't even be on the main show.
No, Tony. Done. He's not the worst wrestler.
He's not.
Because
he's
the worst wrestler is beyond.
And it's not even fucking close.
Not even a little.
No,
you earned this award.
This is it.
This is, well done, Big Swole. You have, beyond a shadow of a doubt in our minds, excelled at awfulness better than anyone ever could.
There's nobody worse in 2020 than my homegirl here, Big Swole.
Yeah, this is, I'm just going to be frank.
Nobody has the attitude of Brock Lesnar, whether she's in the match or sitting ringside, that has that tenacity to be so good in the ring that she could be almost as good as Rob Gronkowski, Mr. T, William Shatner.
Okay, she works better than Shatner.
Does she?
We'll get to that.
No, this is the worst wrestler of the year. Big Swole. NXT couldn't save you. I'm sorry. Every match, it's comical. You didn't even make the botch list because I couldn't just pick one. Every time I've seen you on the main card, because I'm not watching Dark. Every time I've seen you on Dynamite, you've sucked. You've had countless botches. Too many to count. Congratulations.
I watch every pay-per-view, but I sometimes don't catch the weekly shows. It's just, that's the way it is. And my big introduction to Big Swole was the tooth and nail match.
So it's fair to say she's the worst wrestler of the year.
Big Swole, I hope better for you in year 2021, but in this year 2020, this year of our Lord 2020, you have won our award for worst wrestler of the year. And I don't think we're done talking about you yet, because now we move on to Wrestle Shit of the Year. Well, and there's only 3 nominees, and let's just get right to it. Yes, the tooth and nail match, one of the most offensive things that I have ever laid eyes on in terms of professional wrestling. And I sat through Katie Vick. Okay? I watched it live, and I sat through it. And I still watch this, and this offended me more as a wrestling fan. It insulted my intelligence as somebody that's watched wrestling more. Yes, Tony, I'm sorry. I don't mean to go all out here, but I am. All elite. But yes, so I'm sorry. I was watching this on my tablet, and I'm like, what the fuck? Because I had such high hopes for this event. Because I was like, okay, the Stadium Stampede is going to be awesome, right? And then when it started out with this, I was like, oh, good.
This was it all out. And yes. I liked how you segued
all out?
It's like watching the movie and they say the title of the movie during the movie.
Yes,
thank you for that. No, this was terrible. This started off all out, which was actually fairly disappointing as a whole. Like, Double or Nothing was disappointing for me. All Out was also disappointing. Revolution was good. Full Gear I thought was good. It was the middle stuff that wasn't great. And this was what started all out. Honestly, this started out okay. Like, okay, they're going to do this kind of street fight. They're going to do it cinematic, but they're going to do it street fight rules. And, like, okay, you can almost believe this. And then they started dumping each other into dumpsters, and that's when everything.
I will give one compliment. Where Big Swole really shined this year was when she was one of like the fake crowd for the first event. AEW did that.
Yeah,
she was one of the better fans.
No, actually, she was one of the worst because she was more intimidating than the people involved in the actual storyline going on ringside.
Yes, but at least there was someone shouting or fucking doing something. We just wanted to see that.
The focus shouldn't have been on her stupid ass.
You're right. She was going into business for herself, but again, it's one of the, but again, what do you know? Who was the most memorable thing in Nyla Rose's title match?
So eventually, these two gals end up in the dumpster. Reba ends up with a banana peel on her head. Britt Baker ends up injecting herself with Novocaine, and Big Swole wins this. And guess what? What's Big Swole done since this? Nothing. Why did Big Swole go over in this shitty match?
Because
no
why
idea.
not?
No
you
fucking
think that
idea.
The dentist should have won a tooth and nail.
Britt Baker should have won this because she's the star here. But no, bury her.
But no, Tony, see, she was kept strong by injecting herself with Novocaine. All right, so moving on.
Okay, we're moving on.
Do the other one. Yeah, that one.
Let's talk about it. I'm going to add another one. You start talking about this.
I hate to say, like, I was watching this with Tony. The Viking War Street Profits.
Don't look what I'm doing.
I'm not. But I was watching this with Tony when it happened. And there was a point Tony looked over like, Phil, is this getting over with you? Is this getting over with you? And at one point, I was like, but there's ninjas. It's like, Phil, no, bad Phil. And that actually happened, folks. And
so, recap.
As much as I hate to say, Tony.
What do you remember from this match?
I remember everybody getting a cup. I remember one guy getting hit in the balls with a bowling ball. I remember ninjas showing up. I remember, was it Eric or Ivar using the Force, and also a gator leg / octopus arm, and no definitive pinfall because the title was on the line, and this was the match that determined it.
Here's what happened. Yeah, the title was on the line for you, me, and Chicken. It was a triple threat that night. Backlash was an okay card, and it was main evented by Randy Orton and Edge in the greatest wrestling match ever. But this is what preceded it. And instead of having an actual match, we had another cinematic pile of fucking crap. And this was it. So this is what happened. We go, this is what happened earlier. And we cut to the back, movie style. They broke Braun Strowman's car window. They started throwing bowling balls into each other's cocks. They teamed up for the Viking Profits.
We hardly knew you.
They disbanded when Ninjas.
I was ready to change my whole 2K stables and everything.
Ninjas attack. Akira Tozawa and the big manager for AJ Styles shows up in a ninja outfit. Then they end up in a dumpster, and the monster from Star Wars shows up. This was terrible. Yeah, they were doing the Force to get turkey legs out of bushes. This was the most offensive piece of shit cinematic failure of the year. It was horrible. It was terrible. I'm still pissed off about it. Actually, go back, watch, or listen to my review of this match. It's the most heated and animated I will ever be on camera.
Now, here's the thing, Tony. Watching this Viking Profit match can be upsetting to a wrestling fan.
Yep.
But I think that
there's another
being forced to watch the previous match we just talked about could in some states be considered a cruel or unusual punishment.
That's true.
It's not even as bad as the last match we watched. So we need to move on to the next nominee. I'm afraid this is not the worst shit of the year.
So this is gonna make a surprise entrance because you thought
running in with the steel chair and the glass.
You thought it wasn't gonna get talked about. It's getting talked about.
The Mimosa Mayhem.
The trilogy. The fucking trilogy.
Jericho passes the torch, or the Mimosa. Oh yes, Yes. Ah, yeah.
The trilogy that was Jericho versus Orange Cassidy. Jericho wins the first match and then inexplicably loses the next two. And that middle match, you know how he lost? A botched Russian leg sweep and a half-assed cradle pin.
And you know how he lost
a
the
Hall of
last
Famer,
one, Tony?
the first AEW World Champion. Then how'd he lose the last one? He fell into a tub.
He was fully immersed in the tub of mimosa here, as you can see, folks. And Tony and I have joked that if there's ever a time when Chris Jericho tries to go back to WWE, it's like, all right, Vince, this is the number that I want. Vince is just scooch over the other side. Take the scooch out. Vince is just going to pop in and tape in this and go,
you, Chris? That you?
How about you take this deal for 20% less? No problem, boss.
So this sucked. This was shit. The match was shit. Their trilogy was shit. Orange Cassidy's shit. Jericho's 2020 has been shit. And
Jericho's had a pretty good year. Oh, yeah.
Maybe the worst thing you've ever said on camera. Congratulations.
I mean, you know, he's the mimosa.
What did he do? He lost the title.
A 3.25 match.
He lost the title.
His
stable is sucked. He fucking
built
got a trilogy with Orange Cassidy that was garbage.
Stadium Stampede.
And the Stadium Stampede was shit.
It was amazing.
Fuck you and your 2020.
This whole corner's out of order.
Fuck your 2020, Jericho.
And then
can't wait to see how you suck in 2021.
The last nominee.
I, honest to God, thought it was going to be either the Viking Prophets or the Tooth and Nail or fucking.
I even thought this might have been it. And then, God damn it, Vince, you managed to not let us down.
Son of a bitch.
With the last pay-per-view. You son of a bitch.
You found a way.
You found a way.
You fucking found a way.
There we go. Yep, there we go. You found a way.
What you're seeing behind us, folks, is
Bray Wyatt on
No,
fire.
you're not. You're seeing Randy Orton lighting a mannequin on fire. Look at it. Look at it. Like, this happened live on pay-per-view. Bray Wyatt, they did like 8 camera cuts. Bray Wyatt laying flat back in the middle of the ring. They'd cut to Randy. They'd cut to him. They'd cut to Randy. They'd cut to him. They'd cut to Randy. And when they cut back the last time, suddenly Bray Wyatt had lost 80 pounds and his skin had turned black before being lit on fire. And then the show ended.
Are you saying that wasn't really Bray?
That's what I'm saying. This was fucking horrible. This was beyond awful. And this is just another reason why the biggest wasted talent of the year is the fucking Fiend. This was the feather in the cap for me, because before this, it was going to be Miro or Rhea Ripley. This ending to TLC, where Randy Orton murdered the Fiend via fire.
I like Jim Cornette.
This is the wrestle shit of the year. Congratulations, Fiend, who was also our wrestler of the year.
I have
2 years in a row. 2 fucking years in a row. You've been the wrestle shit of the year.
Well, I was really looking forward to giving it to the Tooth and Nail match. That was because it was the most offensive thing I'd ever seen.
Until this.
Yes, because like Jim Cornette put it pretty well. What the fuck is he gonna do now? He's gonna come back as the crispy critter from Canyon Creek? Like, how the fuck are you like? No, there's no like
no coming back.
Now I'm betting like the Fiend's gonna come back with like kind of a Chari mask now.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Like, I'm not even looking forward to it. That's how I love
Tony,
Bray Wyatt. I love the Fiend.
So do I. I was going to agree. I was going to go with Tooth and Nail, but it has to take runner-up because no one got set on fire and was supposed to believe people like Tony. He's the reason I fucking could laugh at Impact Wrestling. You did a fucking murder mystery.
This year alone, Impact Wrestling did a Clue murder mystery. Baron Corbin threw Aleister Black and Rey Mysterio off of a building and they lived. AJ Styles got buried alive. What am I forgetting? Rey Mysterio's eye got gouged out of his head. Bray Wyatt drowned Braun Strowman.
Now, if I could just say something, the Rey Mysterio Seth Rollins match, you're not going to agree with me. It actually did entertain me. It had that old school barbed wire match. Like, is his head going to go into the... Like, imagine this is the post. Is his head going to go in? Is it going to get
doing that.
Okay.
No.
Because, like, I'm not playing along.
We had to suspend disbelief so fucking hard this year because of the cinematic match, because we could play with people's believability.
We finally got Vince McMahon's dream. They can say,
found a way.
Cut!
He found a way to cap this year off by murdering somebody via fire. Yep.
Now, Tony, I've heard of burial.
It was supposed to be AEW. It was supposed to be the Street Profits, Viking Raiders crap. Nope. Somehow, Vince, right in the last second, you found a way. Congratulations. Wrestle Shit of the Year. Fuck you.
The Fiend wins it again. Like, I got to give him credit. Like, this is the second year in a row.
Awards. In 2 years.
This is the second time Fiend's taken 2 awards. Well done. Unfortunately, this is the ones you didn't want. So we move on to a very special category here, Tony, and that is throughout the year, these cinematic matches, we have had some incredible teleportations. Okay, now
I'm not prepared for this.
I'm sorry. Don't worry about it. The nominees are The Fiend, Matt Hardy, The Undertaker, and of course, Phil KOE in my review of Extreme Rules. So that is the nomination. So we've had The Undertaker in the Buried Alive match.
No, in the Boneyard match.
Boneyard match. It is Buried Alive match cinematic.
Yeah, we had Matt Hardy during the Stadium Stampede build.
Now, he was able to teleport to different gimmicks, which is very, very hard.
No, that was during the match. Previous to that, he teleported down the stadium.
Very true. Then we've also got The Fiend, who even teleported out John Cena. So he has the power to teleport other people. But truly, I'm afraid the winner for this year has to be for teleportation of the year. I'm sorry, look at that handsome devil right there. It's got to go to none other than your devilishly handsome outlaw himself, Lord Phil, the King of Extreme, wins Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast 2020 Teleportation of the Year. Yes, Tony, somehow I am in the same class now as The Fiend, Drew McIntyre, Bayley, the Royal Rumble, and also now Big Swole. It's a pretty elite class. The look on your, like, that is like disgust, folks. It is great. So now we move on to the best cinematic match of the year. There are 5 different nominees. Let's go to the first one, folks. We've got, what's this, T?
Well, what do you want to start with? Actually, you don't get a fucking choice. We're starting with this. This isn't going to win. Spoiler alert. No. I'm done.
No. We are not deleting that one yet. That one, oh, yes. All right, the Phil show. Perfect. So, folks.
You just go ahead and talk about it.
All right. So the Stadium Stampede, it was quite a happening, folks. The Stadium Stampede, it was the distraction we all needed from COVID when it hit us harder. When everybody was in lockdown, we had this beautiful, beautiful symphony of combat, and there was even some ridiculousness, but it was all marvelous. You had Hangman Page literally going over a bar because Jake Hager was taking him over it, old school Western style. You had people just destroying a football stadium. Now, I get it. If you love football, you might feel that it was disrespectful to the game. But this is wrestling, And we're used to being disrespected all the time. So guess what? Shoes on the other foot, you don't like it. So that's, but we saw some amazing achievements. We saw a 100-yard Northern Lights suplex. I don't think any such achievement in sports entertainment shall or ever will be achieved again. We had Chris Jericho, and I have just started. We had Chris Jericho hitting his amazing back elbow on the mascot, Matt Hardy. I mean, this shall help your inflammation. Lock this man. And Kenny Omega, with one of the most incredible one-winged angels of his entire career, off the stands, through the whatever it was, the crash pads, I'm sure. And I was thoroughly entertained, so we're not eliminating this one quite yet.
No, I have all the cinematic matches listed here, and this was not even remotely in my top. No, this was shit. Yeah, this was absolute shit. No, this one sucked. The only thing that was really worse was the Viking Profits. Dexter Lumis versus Cameron Grimes, Haunted House of Terror.
I heard nothing but good about him.
Yeah, well, Cameron Grimes is great.
That
match was shit. Yeah, he's great. Yeah, that match was shit. No, this was a terrible match. It was awful. It was stupid. You had to pretty much forget that you actually enjoyed wrestling and go, oh, I just want to laugh and fuck this. So cinematic matches be damned. No, this one's not going to be the fucking winner. Fuck this match.
All right, if that's the case, fine. Now we move on.
We're going to move on to this one.
The Firefly
Night 2 of WrestleMania 36.
You either love this or you hate it. There's no middle ground.
No, it's both. Because honestly, I hate this match so much because this is not a match. But this is such great storytelling.
Isn't it, though?
This was Bray Wyatt's Shawshank Redemption, man.
This kind of was.
It was.
That's a pretty good way of putting it. And John Cena was the one who was the recipient. And he did it
willingly. Like, this was John Cena flat backing it for all those people he should have flat backed it for, but didn't.
Even the Nexus?
He ate this loss harder than he ever should have. He looked like an ass. This wasn't a match. This shouldn't have been on WrestleMania. This was something in another reality.
I was about to say, but this main evented WrestleMania, and everybody bought it, and we didn't know what the hell
this was incredible. Now, this was something completely different. It told so many different stories. The John Cena that debuted against Kurt Angle. The John Cena that was the big match John. The John that couldn't be beat. The John that toyed with a heel turn but couldn't do it.
I was about to say, NWO John?
That was heel John, but I can't pull the trigger on heel John. The John Cena that just is Vince McMahon's poster boy, and I just
spilled a little bit of whiskey.
I'm talking about this match like I like it. The 80s John Cena that we would have loved to have seen in the 80s. But no, this had so many ins and outs. It was so hard to follow, but there were so many good things.
You had to be a dedicated wrestling fan to be able to even follow what was happening. And I think that's why it works for the audience that was watching it.
90% of the match happened before like the first move of the match happened.
Yes, and it was all just psychology build up and playing on the legends that came before. And so that's why because if I were to like show that match to either of my brothers, it would just be a bunch of flashing images that make no sense. If I show that to my mom, she wouldn't know what she's watching.
If you compare this to the Stadium Stampede, to the Money in the Bank match, to the Swamp Fight, it's still the same level of absurdity. But the storytelling between these two guys made this work. And as much as I hated it, being on a wrestling show, it worked here. And there were parts of it that you can not deny popped you. The Vince McMahon puppet saying, "This is not good shit." Fuck. No, but this is not the cinematic match of the year. Neither is the Stadium Stampede because it was garbage. Let's pop this one up real quick. We didn't rave about this match, but this was a really damn good wrestling match. In fact, they called it the greatest wrestling match ever. Randy Orton versus Edge. I was pretty stoked for this because after the WrestleMania Nowhere Falls, what the fuck ever, hour-long saga match, like, fuck it, let's have Randy Orton versus Edge. About 30 seconds in, you knew this wasn't going to just be a match. They were going to take this and make it cinematic. And they did. This is where they started chiming in crowd reaction. This is where they started chiming in camera cuts for no good reason. It started off good with the Howard Finkel ring announcement of both guys with Madison Square Garden mic drop, made it feel big. But then as the match progressed, the crowd started rolling in that wasn't there. Obviously, that took me out of it. The camera cuts took me out of it. But if you ignore all that, this is a damn fine match.
It was very good, but in my personal opinion, I think in Randy Orton's mind, the greatest match of all time was the one he had with Edge at WrestleMania because it took 30 minutes. There's about 17 moves in it, and it was just all like, hey, slow it down a little bit.
Like we both.
Whoa, Tony.
Slow it down.
Like you could have taken at least 5 minutes to pop them knuckles. The Randy Orton way. There we go. Now hang on.
I'll come back.
Let's appeal the crowd. Okay. Now here we go. There we go. Yeah, so that's like this one was probably a little too fast paced for Randy's liking.
No, it was the match was fine. The match itself, move for move were fine. It was the camera cuts and the chimed in crowd noise that we weren't accustomed to yet that took me out of this. If you go back, you watch this through, yeah, this was the only cinematic match to really, truly happen solely in a wrestling ring. Really, really good. Was not cinematic match of the year. Really damn good, though. I'm going to pop up another one that I really like. Phil, I don't know if you watched this.
I haven't watched. Is it Tommaso?
This is Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano.
I got to make a phone call.
Ah, well. The Tony Show. So, this happened during the height of the pandemic, and this was the culmination of their one-on-one feud. And I was actually watching NXT during this, which I haven't really been doing a lot of because it's almost been unwatchable. This was actually really fucking good. They are hurting each other. They are fighting each other. This came after they destroyed the Full Sail University NXT arena. They absolutely destroyed it. They're jumping off of platforms. They're crashing through tables. They're hurting each other. They're making each other suffer. The whole brawl felt real. It looked good. Everything was top fucking shelf. I loved everything about this fight, this brawl. Triple H comes out and says, guys, we're doing this one-on-one, one more time, one spot. This is it. Do it, get it done, and that's the end of it. Took a couple weeks later, but they meet. Gargano, Ciampa. Best friends, better enemies. Me. No crowd. Nothing on the line. Just pure hate and sportsmanship. Who's the better man? They look each other in the eye, and then this thing unfolds, and it was an absolute masterpiece. I loved this cinematic match so damn much. They worked it in the ring. They worked it outside of the ring. They went out of the arena. They made that work. That part was a little disappointing. They went back in. They got the drama back involved. They brought the history between the two guys back in the fold. Neither guy has anything fucking left. Candace comes back out. Fuck it, come on. Come on. Just end it. Just fucking end it. I hate my husband. I hate it. Pretends to hit him with the low blow. Ciampa goes to finish it. Oh, shit, he was wearing a nut cup. Another low blow. Gargano gets the win. This was an amazing cinematic match. I loved it so much. I gave it a straight up A. Loved it. I gave the Firefly Funhouse an A-. I gave this an A. I loved it. My biggest downfall from the fallout of this feud was we don't get them one-on-one anymore. Because these guys, whether you like Gargano or not, he's a great technician. Ciampa's an amazing worker. He has the look. He's got the tenacity. We don't get to see these guys one-on-one. Multi-man matches, that's about it. NXT's been a bit of a mixed bag since about this time. This was an amazing match. I loved it so much. Unfortunately, it is not cinematic match of the year. Churro agrees with me. So, here it is. Black and white. Verbatim. Folks, was there ever any doubt? The cinematic match of 2020 has to be the first one. That's AJ Styles versus The Undertaker. WrestleMania 36, night number 1, the Boneyard match. There's nothing even remotely close to being as good as this match. Take all the cinematic matches of the 2020 year, throw them in a bag, reach in. You're going to pull out the Boneyard match every single fucking time. Doesn't matter that it was first. This is still the best cinematic match of the year. Am I wrong?
Oh, the emotional journey that was The Undertaker, AJ Styles, and we knew this is it. This is over. Undertaker's done after this match.
It wasn't the match itself. It was after it was said and done. You said, okay, you could see Undertaker doing cinematic matches for a couple of years after this. Mm-hmm. But it was him coming into the match, not as The Undertaker, but as Mark Calloway, Badass Biker, and leaving Badass Biker with the Undertaker symbol in the background, almost as a nod to say, this is in the past, this is behind me, and him riding off into the sunset. This was his Clint Eastwood, John Wayne send-off. And it was so, unfortunately, perfect.
Yeah, and what really kind of put the nail in there was his Survivor Series.
Yeah.
Bowing, sending off with Paul Bear. If Taker does anything going forward, it will not be as Undertaker.
No.
It'll be as the American Badass.
Yep. No.
It'll be as Mark Calloway.
Yeah.
Like that. Like
no, it will be.
It'll be kind of like a Terry Funk makeover if he does anything. But he doesn't really have to because this was the send-off. This was the year that Undertaker was
We saw it against Brock Lesnar. That obviously didn't happen. We thought we saw it against Roman Reigns.
We knew that was the last time he was going to take on Brock Lesnar. And that was what brought me back to wrestling, was when Tony told me, Phil, Undertaker's going to wrestle Brock Lesnar one last time in Hell in a Cell. Do you want to see that match? You know, Tony, I think I would.
Yeah.
Like, I had been watching for years, and Undertaker brought me back in. And I've been watching mixed martial arts and participating in mixed martial arts for several years at that point. It's like, okay, it's got the legitimacy of Brock. So at least, you know, there's not going to be total hooey horse shit. And if it's the last time he's ever going to take on Taker, I got to see it. So And what do you know? I'm back here and I am reviewing Taker matches, just like I was watching Taker matches when I was like, God, 7, 8 years old.
But that's the thing. Like we've been waiting for Undertaker to retire, like dreading it, and we thought it happened against Roman Reigns. We watched that happen. Hell, the podcasters of the wrestling world, they're almost as good as us. Were there in attendance? It was emotional. It was devastating. Then he came back when we first started launching this channel specifically. And
God, yeah, we kind of have to credit the Undertaker's last run with us even starting.
It kind of coincided with our channel starting up, and it's now culminating in him officially retiring. So if he does anything from here on out, it is what it is. I'm not going to fault him. I'm not going to belittle him. I'm not going to hold it against him. I don't care. We've gotten multiple Undertaker send-offs for a guy who has really been not the workhorse, but really just
the general,
the banner, the general, the judge, the jury, the executioner, the fucking man.
When Andre
the champ.
Andre was not many.
He didn't have to be the champion.
Not many people could take the title of the boss after him. Taker is one of the few that could call himself the boss.
I think that's
any locker room.
Yeah, that's your short list. Andre the fucking Giant, Mark Calloway, the Undertaker.
Harley Race.
There you go.
Lou Thez before him.
It's a short list. It's a Mount Rushmore.
To say Bruno maybe, but even Bruno kind of recognized that Lou Thez was the man.
No, that's just it though. Like there's such a short list of people respected, revered, and honored, and acknowledged as a true peer and god of the wrestling business.
He's one of the titans. He's on the Mount Rushmore, definitely.
And I completely glossed over the fact that this match also had AJ fucking Styles in it, the greatest living wrestler today.
2018 Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast Wrestler of the Year.
Everything AJ Styles does.
And Match of the Year. And it's unfortunate, like, you know, it's so strange. Like in WWE, you have just this brilliant shooting star, and it's just such a wonderful thing for a fleeting moment, and then it's gone.
AJ Styles.
But AJ, you might have been the man to retire the Undertaker.
Like that's one of those, like you can take all of the world championships, all of the accolades he's achieved over his landmark career, all of the amazing matches he's had, having the last match with the Undertaker in 2020 cinematic match of the year might be, honestly, a personal favorite of his. It's going to be a personal favorite.
It's going to be one we're going to think back on fondly because it was just, the Undertaker.
It's the Undertaker who's been my favorite for a long time. It's AJ Styles who's my current favorite. It's just so much good.
So
before we gush, we're in the home stretch now, folks. We're
the main events.
We're in the matches. Okay, so the cinematic match is done. It's the Boneyard match, not just because it was the first one, but because it was absolutely the best one. Now we're going to get into the best women's match of 2020. This one, honest to God, was not easy for me. And this is probably because Charlotte and Becky and Ronda were pretty much fucking absent from 2020. So we do have a lot of the same names we've talked about tonight. Let's talk about them quick. This is a nomination. It's not going to win. Here you go. Nikki Cross versus Bayley at Extreme Rules. I fucking loved this match.
It's a good one.
No. You thought it was a good one. I thought this was a great match. I loved this match so much. I don't know why. I didn't think. Nice. I thought Nikki really stepped up in a big way, and I thought this was some of Bayley's best heel work as champion in this match. And the card itself was a fucking dumpster fire. The women on this card outshined everybody else. That's probably why it stuck out so much, but Nikki was on another level this night. Bayley was on point. I loved this match. Is it Women's Match of the Year?
Nope.
Yeah, you didn't even want to nominate it. That's fine.
No, I didn't.
Whatever.
Actually, my nominations for Women's Match.
You're going to nominate the Women's Chamber match.
I actually did nominate the Women's Chamber match because that is how you smash over a heel to be a dominant monster in a division, old school style. She went out and just demolished everybody, and if they would have actually kept that momentum, then she would have been still a monster to this day. But
had this been the opener of the show and not the main event, and they had Shayna go over at Mania, this would have been fucking off. Actually, fuck it, no. Had this been the main event, of a fucking Elimination Chamber, and Shayna went over at WrestleMania and won the title from Becky, then maybe this would have mattered. Had Shayna won the Rumble and gone to WrestleMania and won the title, then maybe this would have mattered. In retrospect, no, this sucked. This was a shitty main event because they buried Shayna after this, and the best thing they could come up for Shayna Baszler.
You can't really hold a match because of what
the best thing they can hang up for Shayna Baszler after this was, fuck, I don't know, tag you with Nia Jax.
Good luck.
So no, this is clearly
Shayna's like, deal. You mean I'm the one Nia's not injuring?
So this is 110% not Women's Match.
No, it's not. But I wanted to get it nominated because that's how you smash a heel over.
All right, another one you want to shit on. Here you go. Charlotte Rhea Ripley, WrestleMania 36, night number 2.
It was okay. People really like to just like gush all over this match.
I think we need.
It would have been great if it, like you said, if it had crowd. Yes, it would have been great. It played into the imaginary empty crowd a little too much. Like the thing that makes professional wrestling work is that it has no fourth wall.
Okay.
And once you inject a new, unnecessary, and not there fourth wall, it really isn't. It's not my bag, if you will.
I think the biggest fault here was the fact that this opened WrestleMania 36 night number 2. Go back, watch this.
We were all a little worn out.
We've got a ton of content from that weekend, and I was goddamn shit-faced by the end of night 1. Night 2 on Sunday was a little rough for me, and this was the opening match, and neither Phil or I probably rated this fairly, whether you want to admit it or not.
Now, here's the thing. The guys over at What Culture and Cultaholic, they was like, oh, it's so wonderful. WrestleMania's 2 nights. It's so... No. No. I'm sorry, not everybody gets to make Broadway.
I'd rather do 6 hours of a spectacle.
Yeah, I'd rather do 6 hours one night, and even then, maybe cut it down to 5 hours.
5 would be good.
Yeah, like that's like, God, I remember there were some years where WrestleMania was 2.5 hours. That was it.
The glory days.
Leave your audience wanting more. But anyways, so we move on.
No, I want to rewatch this one because I think that we'd be a lot kinder to it. In retrospect.
Maybe, but it wasn't
this
my
one,
match
though,
of the year.
SummerSlam. Sasha Banks. Asuka. This was in the midst of their trilogy in 2020. This was the middle match. I think this was their best match. Asuka won this one. Would you disagree this was their best match?
Of the two of them, yeah, this was definitely their best match. It was incredible, but for me personally, was not my match of the year.
That's fine, but it has to be noted that Sasha Banks and Asuka had probably...
my runner-up for women's match of the year.
Okay, but 3 matches that they had alone on pay-per-view are worth mentioning, and the fact that they are in that contention 3 times over, that has to be noted.
well done. But my personal pick for match of the year.
What you got?
Bailey versus Banks. Hell in a Cell. I'm sorry, this was culmination.
All right.
This was the women's equivalent of the Mega Powers Collide. This is, now granted it was in the red lacquered Hell in a Cell, but it actually made a good Hell in a Cell match. They actually brought it back to an actual... Thank you, Lord Phil KOE won an award. Yes, I know. Thank you, you Philosopher King Tantui 10-man. Like I said, the denizens of the KOE Nation are some of the most brilliant, beautiful, well-informed, and marvelous fan base in all of the internet, Tony. But so anyway, so thank you, you Philosopher King, you Tantui 10-man. So we move onward and upward.
Okay, so no, okay, justify this pick.
The culmination of their feud. It was just really good work. Now, the only thing I didn't like about it was Bailey in the middle of construction projects.
So okay. Thank you. Here's the thing. When we watch this match, we've been pining for this match. Wrestling fans in general, not just WWE fans, not NXT fans, not AEW. Wrestling fans in general have been pining for Bailey versus Sasha Banks 1-on-1. It's taken almost 4 years to get here. It's been a long, slow, methodical build.
Yeah, it's been a bit of
which I love that normally. Here's the problem.
No fans.
No fans to watch it. They prolonged it as long as they could. I'll give them credit. They finally had to pull the trigger on it. But they prolonged it so fucking long. No fans were in attendance. Hell in a Cell is a blow-off angle. What should have happened before Sasha Banks and Bailey had a Hell in a Cell match? You want to know what should have happened?
Some build.
Bailey should have won 1-on-1 against Sasha Banks for the title via some chicanery.
50-50.
And then they face off in a Hell in a Cell. Because I wanted a fucking 1-on-1 Sasha Bailey match in a ring without bullshit before we had to introduce the fucking gimmicks. They had one of the greatest NXT takeover matches of all time, and it didn't need a fucking gimmick. Why did this need the gimmick? Because we took almost 4 years to get here. Could we have done a 1-on-1 singles match before we got there to the Hell in a Cell? You're fucking right, we could have. We had all this patience. Did we take the patience? No, we didn't. Catapult, leapfrog to the Hell in a Cell. And instead they had to do shop, class, backyard bullshit.
Ouch.
This could have been match of the year.
So what do you nominate for your match of the year, T?
It's simple.
You son of a bitch.
It is so
Asuka
versus Becky Lynch at the Royal fucking Rumble, and it's not even close, folks. Let me tell you what. Phil, sitting in his seat, waiting for me to get back in Houston at the Rumble, holding his newly acquired WWF Winged Eagle belt, watching Asuka Becky happen. Me, I'm clear up in the rafters during this match. What's happening? First things first, I walk over to the fucking merch kiosk. I say, hey, hope I'm not late. I would really like a Royal Rumble shirt. All we've got left are small and XXL. Fuck. All right. Give me a Fiend shirt. Large. Thanks. Grabbed my shirt because I had to buy something there, and I start going back. Realized we haven't eaten today because we're so jazzed up. I'm passing by a quesadilla stand on my way back to the fucking seat. 3 people in line. Shortest line there. Get in line. Give me a quesadilla. I stand there and wait for
what did that like cost you?
Fucking ever. Yeah.
$40?
Yeah, it was expensive as fuck. Waited forever for a fucking shitty quesadilla. I watched Asuka versus Sasha, or Becky Lynch. Sorry. 3 fucking matches this year. Becky Lynch, Asuka. I watched clear up in the rafters the whole time, waiting for a quesadilla, standing there, looking down upon the crowd, watching them have this match. I'm next in line. My quesadilla is almost done. Asuka, about ready to spit the green mist in Becky's face. Becky doubles over, spins around, kicks Asuka in the gut. Asuka doubles back, looks straight up at the ceiling, spits the mist straight up.
God, that's right. That was
what a fucking visual. Even for me in the cheap seats at that point, Asuka falls flat. Becky wins the match.
Starts pounding the mat just like in Celebration. Amazing. It was quite the moment. And Tony, you persuaded me. The women's match of the year, Becky Lynch versus Asuka at the Royal Rumble.
It was so good. Like, I wish I could have been right next to you watching this thing unfold. But the fact that I'm up there waiting for food, tried to buy a shirt, couldn't get my shirt, watched this thing, and I still got the visual representation of the whole feud culminating. Asuka's been spitting the green mist in Becky's face this whole time. Becky gets the best of her, catches her in the gut. She spits it straight up. When she spits it up, the crowd went, oh, oh, it was that, oh, you got us moment. And I'm like, fuck.
It was classic. I was watching it ringside, or not ringside, but in my seat. It was pretty awesome.
No, it worked out great. I loved it. And it's still to this, it was my favorite match, 2020.
All right, so I'm going to agree with you. It was Asuka Becky. Congratulations. Women's Match of the Year, Royal Rumble. So, Lord Phil KOE can be persuaded. Yes, yes. So now we move on to what's going to be a little more contentious. The Tag Team Match of the Year.
All right, so, we got 2 categories left. Tag Match of the Year. Let's do it.
Men's Match of the Year. So Tag Team Match of the Year. The nominees, folks. Tony and I were in complete agreement as to what the nominees are, which is kind of rare. There are 4 nominees to this category, and it's pretty simple.
Let's start with this one. This is one of the highly rated matches that you had. Neither of us nominated it, but I felt it needed to be mentioned. This was Omega and Page versus FTR.
Good match, but it's not even.
This is where FTR wins the titles.
It's not even the best FTR or the best Omega Page match on this list.
I really liked this match a lot. I think the storytelling here was more on point than the previous Bucks Omega Page match at Revolution, because they really had to pay attention to the rules, the story. It's my style. Maybe that's my personal preference. I loved this thing. FTR won the belts. I loved this match.
It was marvelous, but it just barely didn't make the list. But just barely.
What do you think was better?
What do I think was better? I think the Bucks versus FTR was a marvelous match. That one, yes,
this is the most recent.
Yes, it was an excellent match. It was technical. It kind of slowed the Bucks down a little bit.
It slowed them down, but
in the right way.
In the right way, yes. But I think, honestly, overall, the Bucks got to have the match they wanted to have more so than FTR got to have the match they wanted to have. I think that's proven by the finish of the match, where it was that Dax went for a 450-50 splash, missed it. The Bucks capitalize, get the pin, get the win, get the titles. I think the better story was FTR sticks to their traditional style, retains, but I'm not the booker.
I know, and it was a good one, but it's not my pick for tag match of the year. Just, it's not. So we move on to the next pick.
What do you got?
We've got Undisputed Era versus Imperium, the main event to Worlds Collide. This was quite the match. There's a little bit of bias to the first show.
There's a lot of bit of bias,
but it was also the best show. What can you do?
This is a lot of bias. This was the reason we got tickets to this show. This match.
Yep, and I wanted to see Walter for the first time, and his chops are of devastation. It was quite the show to see, and it was good. It was a great 8-man tag, but Tony.
No, the thing about this, the thing that I remember the most about this was, once I was gifted the tickets from my wife to go to Royal Rumble, the plane tickets, the Royal Rumble tickets, the giddiness, me telling you a month previous, like, we're going to go to a show in 2020. You're just like, I can't tell him yet. All of that culminated. Christmas Day, she gives me the tickets. She gives me the plane tickets. And I'm like, fuck that. We're doing this for a weekend. Worlds Collide's happening. We're going to that too. Yep. And I said, Phil, look at this. This is the main event for the NXT show. We're doing this. You're like, yeah, I can't really argue with that. Undisputed Era versus Imperium. The best heel group versus the best heel group. Like, this is going to be amazing. 4-on-4. Didn't care what the rest of the card was. Doesn't matter. This match, incredible. And fucking one of the guys got injured. Jesus, I can't even think of his name now. But
yeah, it doesn't matter. It was an amazing match,
but it was Walter. It was Adam Cole.
Yeah, it was Walter versus
O'Reilly.
Yeah,
it was Roderick Strong.
There.
These guys. Even when it came down to that pinnacle moment, team versus team, 3-on-4. You felt it in the fucking moment. Walter's a monster. You fucking believe it. It was one of those things. I'm so glad we were there to experience live in person, because 2 factions, 2 teams, you're not going to see that again. Not in our lifetime, not like that. And we got to see it live in person, and really, yeah, I guarantee that's the last time you're going to fucking see that happen. It was amazing. We loved it. We ate it up like marks.
So that was a good one, but it was not Tag Team Match of the Year, Tony G.
Have we mentioned Tag Team Match of the Year?
We have not yet.
So we're in agreement.
Yes, there's 2 left.
Are there?
Yes, there's 2. There is DIY versus Mustache Mountain.
Okay.
And Hangman Page and Kenny Omega versus the Bucks.
All right.
To me, Tony, just give me a moment here, uninterrupted, because this is going to be hard for you to hear. Not only does this represent the best tag team match I have seen all year, this represents one of the best tag team matches I have ever seen. In terms of, not only were the teams feuding with each other, the teams were feuding with themselves. One in the Bucks, one of them was taking a slightly more heelish approach, while the other's like, what are you doing? No, this isn't how we do it. and we watched the implosion of Kenny Omega and Hangman Page while still trying to hold on to the title. I really couldn't think of a better example of tag team wrestling. Yes, DIY versus Mustache Mountain, marvelous match. It was wonderful. We got to see Tommaso Ciampa come back to NXT. That was very nice. But it wasn't even anywhere close in the same universe to the level of emotional layers, the crowd psychology, the story being told. This constitutes not just one of the best tag team matches of this year, but nay, one of the best tag team matches in the history of tag team wrestling. So, folks, my nominee for tag team match of the year is beyond a shadow of a doubt Kenny Omega, Hangman Page versus the Young Bucks.
Okay. So, I gave that match like 3.25 stars because it was Cirque du Soleil being the elite. Okay, tag team match. That's fair. Anyways, so my nomination.
Yeah, it's all right. You're allowed to be wrong.
No, that's fine. Like, I don't have to be wrong.
You take this. I will cut this promo for a moment.
Go ahead.
The reason Tony is wrong is because you got to understand here, folks, that this match, there was so many layers to it. There was so much. And yes, now it's the Phil show. There were so many layers to this match that I'm sorry. Like, Tony, he wants to be held up on the fact that, oh, they didn't grab a few tag ropes here. Tony's been a fan of the Federation that gave us the gobbledygooker, but he's going to be held up because they didn't hold on to the tag ropes quite enough in this particular match. This was what tag wrestling needs to be into the future. Now that it's just me and you, all you folks out there, all you beautiful people, definitely be sure to check me out, KOE Nation, tomorrow for the KOE Nation Spirits in Review. It's going to be happening. But that's why I know Tony really likes Mustache Mountain versus DIY. It was an excellent match. It was great work. Tyler Bates, he did that great bounce off the rope thing he does, which is real, and it popped everybody. Everything Tommaso Ciampa did in that match was just over. Didn't matter what he did, and it was Johnny Wrestling was the one who was kind of playing the scamp upstart. I'm following your lead, boss. Just you wait and see. But I'm sorry, Tony can nominate who he wants. He can nominate whoever he likes, but it doesn't matter. We all know deep down that the real winner is going to be Bucks Page. It's Bucks Page Omega. Let me know in the comments if you think I'm wrong, why you think I'm wrong. But I'm sorry, folks. I want more tag team wrestling to look like this. So I know Tony's going to nominate DIY. He's going to nominate Mustache Mountain. It was a good match. It was a really good match. And also, shout out to Sir Stash, who we actually met. And we actually ran into a bunch of really fun people. A couple from Arizona and a couple from San Francisco that they're just friends and they meet up at WWE pay-per-views. Unfortunately, I'm sure their travel plans got cut short just as ours did. And one guy got a very impressive stash. He referred to himself as Sir Stash. So that was quite the weekend. But yes, folks, I am sorry. I must give this nomination. It was a great event. And there might be, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, folks. There might be a little recency bias with, he's back from his 40 lashes. All right. Tony G has returned to us. Tony, I have given my reasons as to why Bucks, Page, Omega was. Now, why do you give Mustache Mountain versus DIY, which was an excellent match, but it just didn't have these layers to it, sir? I'm sorry. It was this was a masterpiece and an achievement of tag team wrestling. But this match was also excellent. Mustache Mountain DIY.
So here's the thing.
It was very athletic. I'll give you that.
These four guys behind me didn't have to pretend they were in a Vegas show to have a good match. They told a story without having to do flips and dives and horse shit. And if they did do that stuff, it actually made sense. It wasn't just like, oh, the fucking sheeple crowd behind me will fucking explode. Come like if I flip over the top rope.
Oh, everything Tommaso Ciampa did got a chop. Every got a pop. Every chop he did got a pop. Everything. He was over with that.
He didn't have to do a flipping tombstone ultra driver to get a fucking pop.
Ultra driver.
He doesn't have to get Dave Meltzer's approval to do fucking moves. Guess what? This was a classic meeting of two stellar tag teams from the NXT brand, and you know what? This match worked tenfold for me, so much more, because so much, like, yes, you're right. Omega, Page, the Dissension, the Page versus the Bucks storyline was really nice, but the AEW storytelling and booking was so inconsistent.
5 stars.
So fucking inconsistent that you didn't know who was face, who was heel. Was this storyline still a storyline or not? We don't fucking know. Instead, we went to Houston. We watched this match. We didn't even need a fucking previous storyline or history to enjoy this one, because they were able to tell this thing within 20 fucking minutes, and it was the best tag team match of the year.
When I saw that one in Houston, I was thinking, damn, that's going to be really hard to top that for tag match of the year.
And nobody did.
Until Bucks Omega Page came along. And then that was my first thought. Damn.
Nope.
My first thought was, damn, that topped it. I don't know how, but it did.
It didn't.
So, once again, for tag team match of the year, Tony and I are divided. Chicken, if you're still watching, let us know who is actually right and why is it Bucks versus Omega Page.
It's me, DIY.
No,
it's Mustache Mountain.
Bucks Omega Page. So we're going to be divided on that.
You know
one,
why?
folks.
Because this one had an agent and somebody to tell people, hey, don't do that stupid shit. Guess what? Bucks versus Omega Page and a bunch of stupid shit.
Now, it's
you know why?
It's technically a tie.
Remember 2019? Remember 2019 when Omega
I do.
and the Bucks in the middle of the match, instead of having a real wrestling match, decided, fuck that shit.
Yes, I do. But
fuck
Tony,
the Bucks, fuck Omega.
Okay.
Mustache Mountain DIY.
It's a tie right now. Mustache Mountain DIY versus Bucks Omega Page. Now, just on the piece of paper here, I'm going to write down Bucks Omega Page and just circle that. Just, But technically, I suppose we'll say it's a tie. But, all right. So, folks, we
That's
move
fine. It's
on.
not the first time you've been wrong about a recount.
I'll let you know if it ever happens. But, folks, we
move
on to the match of the year. The nominees are...
We've got six.
All right.
Let's start out with this one.
Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Hey, at least WrestleMania made it on the list somehow. Like, Tony, I think you're putting this on here because it was just the best match at WrestleMania.
No, we enjoyed this thoroughly.
It was a good match. It's not even close to match of the year, and you know it.
It's not. No, we both rated this very.
It was very high, but 5 stars it was not, sir.
No, had they taken this match, put it in front of an actual WrestleMania crowd, we would have been fucking just fangirling out over this match. But no, this was one of those matches. You've got two indie guys at heart who had an indie style match in front of, let's face it, an indie-style crowd.
I was about to say, like,
and it still got over 4 stars.
Former backyard wrestlers Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens, like, all right, no, Vince, trust me, we've done this before.
But still, we both rated it 4 stars or over.
Yes, it was excellent, but it was not match.
I love it. We thought when it was over, and we were like, my God, every time Seth Rollins or Kevin Owens has been cut short because of bad booking, they restarted it. They went to Will's Bard. Owens had the dive off the WrestleMania sign. It made it worthwhile. It made the 2-night spectacle worthwhile. It saved what otherwise have been not a good show. Take this match out of the show. This is just really not good at all. This match helped make it not a travesty.
True, but that is not match of the year, sir. I'm sorry.
You're right. This is not match of the year.
So we move on, folks, to another one of the my personal favorites of this year. Cody versus Lance Archer really stood out to me.
Still don't know why.
Excellent work.
I didn't get it.
It held my attention. There was a lot of times I thought Lance Archer was going to win it, and they
should have won it.
They made a star out of him to me. I'm interested in whatever he's doing going forward. Whenever I see Lance Archer on AEW television, I'm like, oh, okay, I want to see what he's doing.
You know how they make Lance Archer a star? They had him beat Cody Rhodes to win the TNT title and have him still be the champion to this day. That's how you make Lance Archer a star. Guess what he's done since then? Jack fucking squat!
Well, luckily for AEW and what seemed like an odd decision at the time, Brody Lee became TNT champion for a short while.
You can't take that into factor because that wasn't in the storyline.
They didn't know at the time, but it's one of those.
The whole reason he won the belt was because Cody was going off to film a shitty reality show, and the only reason he won it back was because he was done filming a shitty reality show.
Yeah, it was like Big Show something. Like I was
the
like,
Big Show.
Wait, how did Big Show not?
Considering Big Show on Netflix.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was bullshit.
Not match.
Cody lost a bad match to Brody Lee. He came back and won an okay dog-colored match against Brody Lee. But Lance Archer, Cody Rhodes for the TNT title, for the first ever TNT champion. So much convoluted bullshit. Jake the Snake and Arn Anderson were actually the real stars here. And Jake was off as far as outside interference. And they teased it. And it was crap. And it sucked. And Mike Tyson. And it sucked.
Tony.
And it sucked. Sorry, this match wasn't. I didn't
like I said earlier tonight, when I think back on this year, this will be one of the matches that just sticks out to me, and I'm not even sure why.
I'm sorry, this was nowhere even close to match of the year.
No,
these guys could have had,
and that's why
really good match.
We need to move onward and upward to the next nominee. You had one from was it night 1 or night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom?
Mine from Wrestle Kingdom is pretty simple. I had this rated 4.25.
Ospreay Tanahashi.
Yeah, this was a fucking great match. Ospreay was so on point in this match.
I'll give it. Yours was more physical.
Yes.
Mine that I nominated from Wrestle Kingdom was a bit more psychology based.
But if we both look back on this as a whole, was night 1 or night 2 better? Night 2 had the better climax.
Night 1 had the better work rate.
Night 1 had the better work rate, and I thought this was the better match of both nights.
My favorite match of Wrestle Kingdom was Ibushi versus Okada.
Okay.
It was just on a different level, but
right.
That was more psychology than it was work rate.
Okay, so this isn't your pick, obviously.
No, it's not, but it's my pick for Wrestle Kingdom anyway. This is my personal favorite. For Wrestle Kingdom was Ibushi Okada.
Right.
The genius of Ibushi showed up again, and he was just like Terminator, couldn't stop him. And it was...
I'll be honest. Ibushi Okada, you're right. It was that T1000 versus the TX. It was Predator versus Rambo.
TX whiskey.
It was unmovable object versus unstoppable force. But for some reason, I thought Ospreay Takahashi had a slightly better match.
Well, that's fine, but the problem is neither of those, as marvelous as they were match of the year.
They were fucking amazing.
They were great, but Tony, how many?
And Wrestle Kingdom as a whole.
How many nominees are left, sir?
And Wrestle Kingdom as a whole is a pretty good reason why even Naito should have been mentioned earlier on in the show for Men's Wrestler of the Year.
We're talking pretty crowded. It's a pretty crowded.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, so
here you go.
This is one that I really liked. I named this 5 stars because it was perfect heel
work. I love this so much more.
I did.
It could have been the match of the year.
So it's my personal runner-up for match of the year.
It could have been match of the year by a mile.
Yes, it's my personal runner-up.
It should have been match of the year,
but it wasn't
by a mile.
Because why, Tony? You know why. Just get the picture ready. Get it ready. You know why it's not match of the year.
No. First off, we're talking MJF versus Cody Rhodes. This.
He got color.
The build, the color, the story, the betrayal, the fucking outside interference up until one point. This was so fucking good.
Didn't Arn Anderson come down and give a spine buster?
Yep, then we had to get Arn involved.
I do like it's not a 5
Tully involved. Then we had to get everybody involved.
God, you're right.
Here we go. They could have just been MJF winning this thing crookedly. But no, we had to get everybody who's ever been a fucking name involved in this thing. I'm sure even Brandy had an OnlyFans moment.
Hang on, you're going to love this. It just occurred to me. Okay, if you've ever listened to Hank Williams III as a country artist, he name drops the shit out of a lot of people. If you're a big time country singer, he's gonna name drop you in his song eventually.
Right.
So Cody kind of has like a Hank Williams III version in his matches. Like, hey, were you big in wrestling at some point? I'm gonna have you run on down during my match. It almost kind of works. So, but I love it. I
loved this match until it got way too fucking busy. Take a quarter of the shit out of it. Just have MJF doesn't need help being a heel. MJF doesn't need help telling a story. MJF doesn't need help to fucking cheat.
Sometimes always helpful.
No, it's not always helpful. Sometimes simpler is better. And guess what? If you get too convoluted, it ruins what could have been a fucking great goddamn thing. And that's what this was. Cody, fuck, dude, 2021. Get out of your own fucking way. This should have been match of the year. It's not.
Twice he should have had match of the year. But, Tony, it's not fair because let's move on to... All right, hit it, T. The RR. You know it's time. Oh, I don't think we got a picture of it.
You're right. The match of the year. My God, it's just so perfect. It's Drew Gulak versus Daniel Bryan. My God. Phil.
I mean, no, I get it. It was an excellent match. It was a technical masterpiece. But match of the year? I don't know.
Why not? Tell me why not.
It really didn't captivate my attention or keep me on the edge of my seat like the match of the year actually did. It didn't overwhelm me and it didn't overwhelm everyone that was there, I guarantee you this particular match did not get the kind of reactions that my nominee for match of the year. Now, it was an excellent technical masterpiece. So, it might have saved Drew Gulak's job. So
here's the thing. Drew Gulak and Daniel Bryan at Elimination Chamber had one of the greatest matches in my recent memory. They had a one-on-one match. The storyline was Daniel Bryan's hit a bit of a slide. Drew Gulak's a teacher. They're basically kind of the same age. Doesn't matter. Whatever. They go out and have the opening match at Elimination Chamber, one of the best events of the year, and they fucking crushed it. We're talking submissions. We're talking holds. We're talking back and forth. We're talking storytelling. These two had a match that you haven't seen in fucking ages. I'm not kidding you. I watched this match twice. I watched it once live. And then I watched it immediately after I finished watching it. Daniel Bryan had how many sneaky good matches in 2019? And Drew Gulak's an amazing talent. These two put on a fucking clinic of professional wrestling. It was incredible.
It was good, but Tony, are we ready, sir? Are you ready, folks? Are you ready?
Why do you have to be so quick to eliminate it?
Well, because it's not the match of the year.
Give me a good reason why not.
Because it's not as good as the one that I'm nominating right now, Tony. Are you ready for, do you have the, yes, folks, if you're ready to hear, let me go back to an old intro that folks love. Folks, are you ready? My nomination for 2020 Match of the Year is none other than the 2020 Royal Rumble match. There is no match that has had more star power, more attendance, more attention, more people that cared about its outcome, that had a greater christening and brought upon the McIntyre era. It had the two biggest pops of the year, bar none. There is no match that probably drew more money this year than the Royal Rumble match. So by every metric, and WWE was riding high on some of the best momentum they'd had in years. More eyeballs, more people paying attention, more money drawn, more people caring, better booking, better agenting, better wrestling. Everybody was on point. The only thing that went wrong was AJ Styles trying too hard. And this is, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the greatest match of the year. How am I wrong?
So we were there, we watched it live, and yes, we're gonna mark out. We watched the men's Royal Rumble match live. We watched it happen. We basked in its glory. We loved it in every sense of the word. We reacted to it with other fans. We re-watched it on the network just a week or two ago, and we still fucking loved it. It was amazing. Yeah, there's really no dispute here. This was the match of the year. The men's Royal Rumble match. 2020 Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast. Match of the year. The men's Royal Rumble match. Personally, my favorite singles match of the year. Drew Gulak, Daniel Bryan.
My personal singles match was Cody Rhodes versus MJF with Lance Archer as a. But we both agree, and it is not because we were just there.
No,
it might
it's not. It's a little bit of that, but it was the men's Royal Rumble.
Yes, and also objectively the biggest pops. So, folks,
yes, two of the biggest pops of the year.
You
back
have
to back.
Been here with us for this journey. We have gone through all of the different varying possibilities, and we have nominated. So, folks, if you've made it this far, thank you for being here, and we're going to go through it real quick. The men's wrestler of the year is Drew McIntyre. Well done, sir. The women's wrestler of the year is Bayley by a chicken feather. Asuka almost took it. The event of the year was the Royal Rumble, beyond a shadow of a doubt. The tag team of the year, barely. FTR finally takes their crown after a year of waiting. The most, it's like ash in my mouth just having to say it. The most wasted talent this year was The Fiend. Last year's wrestler of the year. It was so tragic. I'm so sorry. The botch of the year was Matt Sydal. So congratulations, sir. You own that well. The worst wrestler of the year, Big Swole, may next year find you better than it found you this year. The wrestle shit of the year, The Fiend, lit on fire. Now, but let me just say that in between The Fiend and the cinematic match of the year, which was the Boneyard match, right nestled in between them was Phil KOE winning teleportation of the year. So, Tony, I'm basically in the class of The Fiend, Randy Orton, Undertaker, and AJ Styles. I'm pretty much in that same group category. Right there, basically. The cinematic match, we send off The Undertaker. We give you your discharge papers, sir, and you are now a free man to do what you wish of this life. You don't have to commit to Undertaker no more. The women's match of the year, Asuka versus Becky at the Royal Rumble. Boy, that one's been quite the event this year.
Yeah.
The tag team match of the year was the Bucks versus Omega and Hangman Page. And there were some other opinions about that.
Why don't you go ahead and explain those?
Yeah, it's not.
I'll fine. It's fine. DIY versus Mustache Mountain, which we saw live. It was amazing.
Chicken, now you have to watch both those matches and let us know what's the winner now. Sorry, that's the only way.
Hey, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. He's going to agree with me.
No, because he's going to watch that amazing Bucks Omega Page match and be like, wow, that is actually pretty good.
Hey, so, spoiler alert. Phil's wrong as usual. Anyway, go ahead.
The men's match of the year, we were in unanimous consent. It was, T, and we were there to see it, the Royal Rumble match. The last one ever agented by Pat Patterson.
My favorite singles match of the year. Drew Gulak, Daniel Bryan, but yes, match of the year, men's Royal Rumble.
Yes, and we've also got another nomination here from one of our Philosopher Kings. Match of the year, Phil KOE versus the Hordes of the Incorrect on the Dog and Chicken Show. That is a very possible, I understand your sentiment, you Philosopher King, but no, that comes later tomorrow night on the KOE Nation for my year in review. And Tony was there for it too. It actually drops. But folks, you are here for it. This was 2020 Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast's year in review. So folks, as I'm
before we go.
Pro wrestling personalities who passed away in 2020. Yeah, we do have to.
Yeah, no, that absolutely 100% has to be mentioned. 2020.
Rocky Johnson, 15th of January. We actually did a toast.
Yes, we started off with an actual legend who passed away, which you would expect. Before we knew that this was going to be a year of unusual losses, not just in the wrestling world, but in the world period.
December's been quite the month for wrestling, but yeah. Rocky Johnson, to you, sir. Then we lost one of the great voices of so many eras, the great Howard Finkel. So many times, the winner of this match and New champion. That whenever I did that on our podcast, I was doing Finkel.
No. Anytime we even in the backyard wrestling days when you would get the elated the voice talking about, you were honoring Howard Finkel, and 20 years after the fact, he's still just. He was a staple.
Yes, and then moving on, the 17th of May, we lost Shad Gaspard.
That one's heartbreaking. He saved his
son.
That.
Now, in passing, Dave Meltzer is going to be having a Shad Gaspard Award, which is basically somebody tied to the wrestling industry that's just done something very good. And also, if you like the God of War video games, Shad Gaspard did have an impact on your life because he was the body model they used for Kratos. So, in a way, in digital world, his legacy will live forever. In that regard.
Shad Gaspard was part of a very, let's be completely frank, not a controversial, but a very stereotypical tag team.
I never saw him wrestle, to be honest.
Prime time during the kind of post-ish aggression era.
This is kind of when I had left wrestling. So
it was during the WWE ECW time.
Oh yeah, I was definitely gone by that.
Yeah, and it wasn't great, but they were talents, and you couldn't really ignore it. They were charismatic. They were good in the ring, and
it's unfortunate, but now
not just a tremendous loss, but it's the way we lost this guy. So everybody.
And moving on, unfortunately, because this is wrestling, we got a lot more ground to cover. Hannah Kimura, folks, be better to each other. That's all I can really say. Is just be good to one another. That's there's.
This is a young woman who didn't need to die.
Yeah, she's 22, and they attribute it to online bullying. I'm not sure what it is, but yes,
it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah, folks, just try to be a little bit.
I understand the allure of being shitty to somebody else online with no repercussions, but not everybody can take that in the same tone. Remember that. Doesn't matter if they're a celebrity or not. Remember the fact that you're still interacting with people. It doesn't matter. Be a good person, and I will always say this. It doesn't matter the channel I'm saying it on. Be a good person.
Now, so it's very unfortunate, but we move on to a true legend of the old school style and a man who back in the 80s was credited with saving wrestling, Mr. Wrestling #2. After he was and he passed on the 10th of June, he was a man who, after he was in a plane crash, he claimed to be a promoter while he was getting his back worked on, and he actually, with an injured spine, got back in the ring. And he wrestled just so no one would think that a heel was flying with the baby faces. And it was. He
was flying with Ric Flair and who else?
I can't remember all of them, but it was Flair and a few others.
Flair and Mr. Wrestling 2 flying on the same plane. The plane crashes. Flair never thought to wrestle again. Mr. Wrestling 2 is on the same flight. Instead of giving up the business, he goes, puts on a brace, wrestles a few matches to say, clearly I was not in a plane wreck. Puts his own well-being, his own life, his own comfortability for the rest of his life at risk to protect the business. You're never going to see that kind of commitment again.
That's Sergeant Slaughter level of I'm putting the business above my own.
That's front line kind of.
Yeah, work. So Mr. Wrestling 2, we raise our glass to you.
Double tap.
Now we move on to one that you and I grew up watching when we were kids. Kamala Mustafa, August 9.
Oh, dude.
Now, hurt. His real name is Harris. And so, strangely enough, he passed the day Kamala Harris accepted the nomination for vice president. So, in a weird way, his legacy now lives forever. Like he's now indelibly tied to this interesting point in American history of Kamala Harris becoming vice president.
Very strange. It's very ironic. It's very weird. But those of us who, I understand you're much more in depth in the political spectrum than I, but
this is a weird one. I'm sorry. It just is. There's
like too
many synchronicities.
Yeah. No, that's just it. Like the ironic portion of this is so hard to deny. It's so tempting to say it's more impactful that Kamala died than Kamala taking vice presidency.
Yeah, it's like,
okay, and the Mid-South,
like I said, it does make
Memphis wrestling territory, the Mid-South.
They knew him under some different names, but
yeah, Kamala was a different animal.
Watching WCW and WWE wrestling as a kid, and he was a mainstay. And so, to you, sir.
Oh,
rest in peace.
Kamala.
Now we move on to this one. Really, this one hurts. Road Warrior Animal. We now got tag team champs in heaven.
Motherfucker.
Hawk and Animal. We got tag champs in heaven now.
When Hawk passed,
Owen and Andre met.
Let's touch back when you and I were just backyard wrestling ne'er-do-wells, and you'd ask the question, who's your favorite tag team? The Legion of the Doom, the Road Warriors would always come up. And when Hawk passed away, it was pretty rough. But when Animal went, that's pretty much the last bastion of badass tag team lore, because the Road Warriors didn't need the titles to be badasses. No. They just needed to exist. Even the Steiners kind of needed the tag team titles to be awesome. No, the Road Warriors were the Andre the Giant of the tag team division, were they not?
Yeah, they were the how do you get the belts off of them?
You can't. You don't.
A lot of times they just leave the territory.
Fucking don't. You either, if you put it on them, good luck. That's that.
Yep, we still are
Little Fettuccine again. Fan of the year. Yes. Little Fettuccine 69. Thank you very much.
Little Fettuccine 69 316. Yes. But we're just going on over some folks who have passed. We're now to Tracy Smothers, who I'm talking about.
That one was strange.
I knew it mostly in ECW.
That's totally fair. That's totally fair, but the greatest booker manager in all the world, Jim Cornette, Tracy Smothers is a legend.
Yeah, got to give it to him. So now we've got 4 more to go, folks, and they all passed in December. Unfortunately, we did a small tribute to him. December 2nd was the passing of Pat Patterson. It was
if you would have asked me in January,
bless me,
like we didn't know in January that we were going to be live in person in Houston to watch the Royal Rumble.
The last match Pat Patterson would ever agent.
That did make it a lot more impactful, a lot more meaningful, because we didn't listen back. We talk about this. We talked about this.
What are you
guys drinking? Tonight we've had a few things. Dalmore 12, Maker's Mark Private Select from the Still in Lincoln, Nebraska, and the Glenlivet Caribbean Reserve. We're just kind of having a tour of the world.
Yep, we're going.
Little Fettuccine again, fan of the year.
316.
But we didn't know at the time, and I wish we did, because it would have made it even more impactful. But yes,
you never know these kind of things until afterwards.
We're again, those of you just tuning in, we're talking about the wrestlers and the personalities that we've lost in 2020. Pat Patterson is not just. It doesn't matter what you think of his impact on the wrestling world as a whole. It doesn't matter if you think his Intercontinental title championship reign was a farce. Does not matter. Pat Patterson.
Out of all of them, I'll be honest, this one hurts the worst.
Yeah, this one sucked.
Like of all of them, like this one got me. Like Animal was pretty bad.
Animal hurt.
But Pat was like, oh, not Pat. Anybody but Pat. But you know,
not just because of that, because Pat and Gerald both got fired in 2020.
Yeah, there's that.
Pat Patterson, one of the greatest agents of professional wrestling ever. Not one of the greatest wrestlers or workers, but most historically speaking, the best agent. And this year took him, and that sucked.
Yeah, but it's unfortunate. But Pat, all the way back in the 60s, was he was in a relationship with Lenny.
Doesn't matter.
Him and his partner. Now Pat and Lenny are together again. So that his struggle is over. So to you, Pat. Now we move on to Zeus. That
was weird.
Yeah, he's more known for his what's his name in Hollywood? I don't know. We just in wrestling we know him as Zeus. That's it. He was in the movie No Holds Barred with Hulk Hogan, and he also did a match at SummerSlam against Hulk Hogan. It was a tag match.
Oh my God.
I can't remember what his name is. Tony's looking it up right now, but
the thing about Zeus that I remember so vividly was no. Not just that. Jesus, we need a name.
Tiny Lister.
Yes, Tiny Lister. Tiny Lister had a very...
He was not tiny.
No, it was not tiny. That was the oxymoron because Jesus. Like, when my fandom for professional wrestling started, I watched... Oh my God, this will sound completely ridiculous, but I watched a couple of the WrestleManias of like 3, 4, 5, 6, doesn't matter. And then I went and watched No Holds Barred on basic cable television. I saw Tiny Lister versus Terry Boella, Hulk Hogan. I watched that movie and went, that octagon, that wrestling match, because it was an octagon. I watched that and went, don't care. This movie's got me hooked. That was what pushed me over the edge. I liked wrestling a lot before that, but that stupid, horrible, dumb-ass movie featuring Hulk Hogan and Tiny Lister pushed me over the edge. When Tiny Lister falls off of the whatever the fuck and falls through the ring, and Hulk Hogan stands tall. This is brilliant. That's when I found Warrior Hogan, Andre Hogan, Savage Hogan, Steamboat Savage, Flair Hogan. That's when I found wrestling.
Yes. That was an excellent one. I'll give you that. But now, unfortunately, we have to move on. There's two left. Danny Hodge of NWA fame passed away on Christmas Day. So I'll be honest, I didn't see much of Danny. I only saw a little bit of his time in WCW, but may rest in peace, sir. And then the next day, the real one that's kind of weird. Brody Lee, Luke Harper, passed away of a non-COVID related lung
This was the weird one.
Complication. Which he knew about this for some time, apparently, but they didn't think it was going to get, like, nobody ever thinks it's going to get that bad. But
right.
Yeah, and then out of nowhere, damn, we just turned on our phone and everyone's like, yeah, Brody Lee. What? I sent Tony the message. He's like, I'm sure your reaction the other end was like, get the fuck out. Like,
no, my immediate reaction was, you sent me the message, and I'm like, Brody. I told Phil, I said,
you thought I was talking about Bruiser.
I'm like,
Tony, Bruiser Brody died.
I'm like, Bruiser Brody died a long time ago.
I know, I'm just finding out. Like, no,
like,
Tony
no, wait,
thought
that
was
doesn't
happening.
make sense. Oh, Brody Lee. Oh, wait, no, that doesn't make sense at all. No.
He's
Brody Lee's not much. Brody Lee's not much older than us.
He's 41.
He was 41.
I'm 35.
Yeah.
So that's why we're like, no way.
We're half a decade away from being as old as Brody Lee. And here's this guy that was...
He's in shape and he takes care of himself. Ah, crap.
Yeah, we're in trouble.
Yeah, we got some shit to worry about over here. Yeah, that guy was in shape, lifted weights and stuff. But so, yeah, these were some of, and not all, but many of the main wrestling personalities that we lost over this year. So to all of you, we raise our glass one last time to those who the bell rings for one last time, folks.
Yeah, let's hit it 12.
All right, folks.
Thoughts on the whole Legends week on Raw? Okay.
It's a way to get some cheap content off the Legends you got hanging around. Uh-oh, he's going Glenn Levitt.
So, thank you, Little Fettuccine, for bringing us back into the current era, and let's do this. Folks, this has been a journey. This is the 2020 year in review. We've touched on a lot. Little Fettuccine just hit on a big one. Thoughts on the whole Legends week on Raw? This is a goddamn ratings grab of total horse shit. I don't fucking care. I don't care. It's crap.
They got Flair and Hogan all
and they do. They have Flair and they have Hogan. That's all you need. And yeah, we're going to watch because of that. The rest of it, the other 90%, nobody gives a fuck. Oh, Ivory's on. Oh, the Boogeyman's on. Oh, Booker T. Kind of care. Don't care. It's Flair and Hogan and that's it. Nobody gives a shit.
All right. But yes, Tony, that's what I think about that. But, Tony, as the only reigning champion here at the Dog and Chicken Show, well, no, that's a different, at the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, at the KOE Nation, the only reigning champion.
Till Royal Rumble.
Yes, I am afraid it is time for me to say, folks, on behalf of this year in wrestling, on behalf of the KOE Nation, on behalf of the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, as I'm known to say around here, all that being said, thank you for joining us for the year in review of the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast. I am your King of Extreme, Lord Phil KOE, signing off and handing it off to my indomitable broadcast partner, the 7-time champion, the one, the only,
2020, your blend master extraordinaire, your 7 or 8-time champion. Doesn't matter. I'll get it back at the fucking Rumble. Tony fucking G. Like, share, subscribe. Dog and Chicken Show. YouTube. Facebook. Anchor. Spotify. Blah, blah, fucking blah. KOE Nation.
Catch you tomorrow, folks.
Here it is, folks. You're not going to get better content than right fucking here. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
And that was 2020 in wrestling.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Little Fettuccine, the fan of the year.
Actually, you
asked the question
of the year. Tomorrow night, actually, Little Fettuccine, the entire KOE Nation year in review of all the liquors of Extreme. You're going to find out what's the rum of Extreme, the tequila of Extreme, the wines of Extreme, the whiskeys of Extreme, the scotch, the bourbons, the gins, the vodkas, the tequilas, and also a review of all the different, varying, crazy, wacky adventures that happen. Check it out, KOE Nation.
You guys look drunk. Well, that's fair.
Kind of fair. Folks, thanks for joining us. This has been a marvelous time.
If you did the year in review on booze, go over to the KOE Nation. Check it out. It's dropping before 2021. We're talking the vodka, the gin, the tequila, the whiskey, the scotch, the Irish, blah, blah, blah.
4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon is when it drops.
There you go.
It'll be hitting 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, and it will be on YouTube for all the world to see. So, folks, this has been one hell of a evening. And like you said, yes, we might have had a drink or two. So,
a few.
Have yourself a good evening, folks. I'm signing off and handing it off to my indomitable broadcast partner, T. Take us home.
We got a few spirits to try, and we've had a good, let's just be frank, we've had a fucking phenomenal 2020, even considering the fact the world events, they don't matter over here because we just brush that shit off. We're that great. I'm Tony G, the Blend Master. He's your King of Extreme. Phil, thank you for joining us. Hit the button. Like, share, subscribe. 2021. It's not only going to be our year, but it's going to be the greatest, most tremendous year of all.
All right, folks. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to cut this off before Tony says something. You're like, why did you say that? No.
Tremendous.
Okay, all right, folks.
Tremendous.
Have a marvelous time before we get canceled.
Tremendous.